Yo, hey everybody. We have a really important live. So I just wanted to come and talk to you guys. We're gonna do an interview with Kurt's kid, his children, and I think it's really important. Oh, we got feedback. Somebody's got feedback.
Uh-oh, probably me.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say just pause the YouTube. If you open the app and hit the StreamYard link, sometimes it like does like a playback, but it's okay. It's just you just gotta pause it. Okay, I'm gonna start my little cool. I got a really cool intro that a friend of mine made, so I'm gonna put that on real fast, and then we'll get started.
I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. Pettiness, a reflection of the emptiness. Hilarious, you think you're worth my time, you're delirious. Mysterious, because you hide behind a fake exterior. Inferior, you know I'll always be a bit superior. Get off of me, this ain't no humble brag. I want you to hear words, you can say them back. I want you to feel free from the chains that last, and to believe in what you got, it was built to last, yeah.
Now that I've been put through hell, I never got anyone's help. I had to do it all myself.
I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement.
Okay, so I want. Sorry, my little chihuahua barks. Anyways, I want to say thank you guys, first of all, for coming on here and taking the time to come on here and chat with us and, put the truth out there. I really appreciate that. And I think it's really important. So I just want to first and foremost say thank you guys for coming on here and taking the time to do this.
You're welcome.
So we have Sammy 2, and we'll say we have D. So those are what they're going to go by tonight. And they said you're welcome to ask questions, but please be respectful. If you cannot be respectful, you are going to be blocked and be gone. I'm not dealing with any kind of extra stuff tonight. I'm not doing that. So please have respect. So we have Good Egg up here and NorCal Girl. Can you hear me, NorCal?
I can hear you, baby. Hi, you guys. Thank you so much for coming.
Hi, NorCal Girl.
And we have Good Egg and D. So
Where do we?
So anyway, you guys have heard the rumors and you guys have heard some of the chatter going on, right?
Oh yeah, I watched a couple of those stupid videos on YouTube.
Yeah, and I mean this is real life for you guys. So all in all, you're like, what in the heck is like what the hell's going on?
Yeah, exactly. What?
It's kind of just like, what is this? So what'd you think when you seen all that? When you seen some of the things being said in the lives, things that were saying, all the lies that were being told, and the rumors?
It kind of pissed me off because not only are they telling lies, but they got them all mixed up too. Like even if they were telling the truth, they can't even tell it right.
Right.
And I think that you were saying, Dustin, D, in general, like you ignore the people who've been reaching out to you.
Yeah, because I know how the online world is. If you don't want to, if you're busy, you just have to ignore crap. Everybody gets spam. Everybody gets emails. Everybody gets,
Yeah, I think I found like I'm not following all the ins and outs of this. But I kind of discovered Jim Terry, and I see how the insane things that he was saying, and I'm like, this is so incredibly destructive and irresponsible. And it seemed like with your dad, he literally is just kind of this bystander. Like nobody expects that somebody that they know is going to go missing or be the victim of a crime, and he's just been swept up in it.
Right. He just got swept up in it because it's a small place, and they're just looking at everything and everybody because they don't know what happened, nor does anybody else.
And how is this like so how is this, first of all, how did anybody know how did Jim Terry first get your dad's name? He got it from when he was working for the rounds, and they were probably just saying who really knows, right?
Those videos pissed me off so much that I quit watching them. My sister
Right.
kept linking them to me, and I'm like, you know what? I just I can't deal with this.
Right. So it's kind of like he got the name and he ran with it. And
Right.
it's
He probably did get it from Dylan's parents or something. So
who knows? But oh well.
Right, but it's not like, you know, it wasn't from. I just want to be clear to everybody. This wasn't from any sort of private investigating on his part. Like he kind of just was found out about this, got the name, and just went crazy with it.
It sounds like it, because I mean, doesn't a real private investigator call different family members? Or reach out to other family members instead of the ones that are in prison?
Right. Has he tried to reach out to you or your sisters?
Not that I know of, but I don't answer phone calls.
He did call Sammy one, but I believe he might have got the number from my dad for her.
Right. And then do you want to talk about like how this has been affecting your family, your dad's day-to-day life, like offline, and the relationships within your family and your friends?
I can't say much other than I can only imagine that he's scared for his life right now, because he didn't do anything wrong, hanging out with the family, enjoying the weekend, and then all of a sudden he's under fire.
Yeah.
Because a kid comes up missing. It's pretty horrible. I can only imagine, but I know he's struggling. I guarantee it. And
you're not talking to him every day like I am.
Right. It's a bunch of bull crap. I know that much.
And I mean, I didn't talk to my dad every day before this. I would go 2 weeks, 3 weeks without talking to him.
I hadn't, it'd been so many years since I'd been down to Montello. 16 years or something? And I went down there that weekend and hung out with the family, and nothing seemed off. I made sure I seen all the family around in the little town and made sure I said hi. We were all accounted for there.
And Sammy, so now you said, like, I guess now, I think that's typical adult kids. You're not talking to like your parents like every day necessarily, but I guess you have been communicating with him more now. And like, what's his day-to-day like? How has he been affected by this?
He's a wreck. He's just, I don't think the guy, I actually went down there earlier in June and spent 4 days with him. So I went down there. He did an interview with the FBI. I was there for the whole entire thing. And I just was trying to hang out with him, and trying to get his mind. And I get that it was still kind of new and it was all scrambled and everything, but I just thought, okay, if I can go down there and spend a few days with him, kind of hang out with him, and hey, Dad, let's go, let's talk about this. Or, we didn't watch much TV, but my dad, all he wanted to do was talk about what could have possibly happened and, try and remember different things and, making notes. And I'm like, Dad, you can't just let this eat you up. I get that it sucks, but, and he's like, I'm just trying to do what I can to try and figure out what happened to him.
I know. And I heard your sister saying that as well, that she thinks he's even getting, he's focusing on that so much. Is he able to kind of, and it's hard. How well is he doing with shutting out the personal attacks that are happening to him? Because I think it would traumatize anybody. But do you feel like, is he doing a good job kind of staying away from it, or is it really become a big part of his life, hearing all these things?
At first, when I was down there, we would literally put an AirPod in each ear, and I would turn the videos on, and we would just sit and listen to them at night.
I can't even imagine, because
it was consuming. And that's why I told him, I'm like, Dad, this is consuming us every day. Like, I get that they're talking a bunch of crap on here, but I was like, we can't feed into this. Like, this is ridiculous. We all know this is not true. So why are we going to sit here and listen to it and let it eat us alive?
Right. And get pissed off.
Yeah. And my dad would get upset and stuff. And I'm like, Dad, I'm upset too. But like, so I was physically down there sitting with him the night that my cousin went and did her live. Or whatever, when Jim played the phone call with her.
Right.
Hey, question. How come Jim didn't know our family was raised Mormon and the other kid was?
He doesn't know much. I mean,
doesn't know the area or nothing.
Right.
Okay.
And another thing is, like, you guys didn't ask for this. Like, some people who are really involved in all this YouTube true crime stuff, but you guys weren't doing this, and your dad wasn't doing this. You're just people who happened to be kind of related to a missing persons case, and you didn't choose to be dragged into.
Oh, no, definitely not. I've stayed out of it this entire time because I didn't want to be a part of it, but I'll agree to come on and talk. I mean, I don't like that Jim Terry guy. His videos are crap. Everything's mismatched. They're just talking a bunch of crap for nothing. Like they know the place when they've never been there.
Yeah, I was gonna say Jim works from his couch. So
oh, I'm sure he does because that's all I ever see him on. I definitely don't see him still like practicing or doing anything football related that he toted about at first. So
yeah,
where's the trophies at? I want to see the wall of trophies. Why doesn't he display that?
He's never been to Montello ever.
Right. That's why I don't get how much investigation and PI work can you do from your couch from a different state and never even have been down there. You can get a few phone calls and you can try to decipher out a few things.
Right. Now, Montello's a really, really, I mean, it's barely even a town. I mean, when we talk about everybody knowing each other, it's so small. How has this kind of affected the town and the dynamics of the people who live there?
Everybody's scared. Everybody's watching these videos. They're doing the same thing we were. We started watching these videos and going, what in the hell is going on here? Because, I hope they find this kid. It's saddening. But who knows what happened? The desert's a crazy place, and there's people out there that are crazy. I can't deny that. I've seen some weird shit, but it's mostly full of people that drink and come to the bar and hang out. Like of the good people that I know of. Mm-hmm. Nothing crazy.
Sammy, has this affected your dad's? Does this affected like his relationship with people in town? Like, is he having fallout around just trying to go through his day-to-day life and people maybe buying into any of this crazy stuff, or how's that affecting it?
That I don't know. I don't think the people that he associates with, I don't think that they are feeding into it. Do you see what I'm saying? My dad's not like a very public person, so he's not, out and about the town every day talking to people. But the few people that I know, but the few people that I got to meet when I was down there for the 4 days, just were coming in to check on him to see how he was doing, because some of them had just barely found out, and they're like, what in the crap is even going on? Like, we had to come check on my friend. I met one of his friends, and that's the first time I'd ever met him, and he looked at me and he got teary-eyed and he said, I just come in here to check on my best friend. That's my best friend right there. And I said, yeah, well, that's my dad, and that's why I'm here.
Oh my God.
And he got teary-eyed and he says, I just want to make sure he's good. I didn't know he had anyone here, keeping him company. And I said, that's why I'm here, because I didn't know what else to do. And I had the option to go. So I went, and I was only going to stay a couple days and ended up staying the whole week. But the guy was very nice and stuff. And he said, I can't even believe what's being said. That was when it all kind of started. And I was like, I don't even know how to process it all right now at the time.
I mean, I keep imagining, I would listen to some of the things that they would say. And I kept waiting for them to tell me that, like, there's like aliens living in the desert and like aliens did it, or your dad's an alien, because that's how ludicrous all of these things are. And when they act like they're theorizing or speculating about facts, they're not. This is not speculation. This is not investigation or true crime theory.
No, like I said, how much can you do from your couch?
No, it's defamation. It is.
It's like me investigating him. How much can I do?
Mm-hmm. And Sammy, your other sister, Sammy 1, was saying the other day that your dad is now talking to, like, he's so desperate for answers that now he's talking to a lot of psychics and things like that. Are you worried that he's being taken advantage of at all, with like people trying to reach out to him and tell him like, I have information and that type of thing?
No, I think my dad's the one that's searching and probably has come pretty familiar with YouTube, because I get on there and try and look, and there's things I can't find, but he'll send me, hey, there's this new video out there. I want you to watch it. And I'm just like, Dad, like, there becomes a point where you just kind of got to decide to stop. Like, you can't go down every rabbit hole and every psychic that puts a video out.
I only watched like 2 or 3 videos and was so like put off by it. I was like, all right, I can't even watch
It's
it.
the true crime YouTube thing is very toxic, and it can also be very addicting with like
True-
going down rabbit holes.
True crime. I mean, literally, how much can you do from your fucking couch?
Right.
Well, but that's what I'm saying. Like my dad's like the 4 days that I was there, he didn't go out searching because I was there.
Right.
And it's not like I can just get on his motorcycle with him and go.
Right.
So everywhere we went in my car or walked, you know. And that's what he was like. He's like, I appreciate that you're here, but he's like, you know, you kind of like, if you weren't here, I wouldn't be sitting here. I'd be gone.
Right.
I'd be, you know, doing something, because he said he just gets so stir crazy he couldn't sit there. Yeah. And he may not have been going out to loosen. You see what I'm saying? To search. But there were days that we tried to call my dad and he didn't answer all day long. And me and my sister started getting kind of frantic, like, what's going on? Usually, you know, he answers his phone or lets us know. And then we're calling everybody else like, hey, you know, we're trying to find my dad. We don't know where he's at. He won't answer his phone. So then they're like, well, you know, they have their own lives too. My uncle's like, I'm at the bar. I'm busy. I haven't been around trying to look for him. And so I'm like, you know, is he there? Is he there? I just look and see if his motorcycle's there, you know, or something. So we know he's okay. And then finally he calls back in the evening and he's like, no, I was out, you know, riding, checking different places that I can, you know, trying to check on stuff, you know, and see if there's anything strange going on and just things like that. But then I showed up and, you know, he's like, he didn't know I was coming until that night. That was one of the days we couldn't get a hold of him. And I had just packed my bag and went. And my sister finally got a hold of him and said, you know, she's on her way down. She's coming down there. And he's like, oh, okay, well, I guess I'll, you know, hang out, wait for her to show up. So.
And I mean, who's anybody to say like that someone should or should not be searching or doing anything? Like that's what it just seems like, you know, your dad just was put under, and other people too, but your dad was just kind of put under the spotlight by people on the internet, and it must be bizarre. And then what's going on? It seems like these other channels, they have their big source. They found somebody who lives in the area who reached out to them, who wants to talk to them all the time. This guy,
which happens to be, why isn't it like direct sources? Why is it always like
TJ or Ty or something? He goes by TJ or Ty or something like that, but that's not his real name. So
does he have a real like, does he know your dad in real life?
No way.
You don't know though, Dustin. I'm talking about Jim. The
Ty Corbin guy that they're talking to. He says
I believe they know of each other. I honestly have never met the guy, so I don't think they ever had any type of like friendship or anything like that. But we live in the same, you know, when Ty lived out there, yeah.
And it seems like they found him, and he seems to enjoy talking to them, right? So now he's like talking to them all the time, and like they it seems like, I don't know, like obviously if you search for enough people out somewhere and you reach out, like you're gonna find somebody who wants to talk. There are people who are like that and just want to talk and like be involved and like
right. They want the attention, they want everything to come to them and make it rich on YouTube and just have a good old life. Everybody dreams of life, right?
Well, you know more about YouTube than I did, brother.
Well, like, people can make money on it and shit if they get enough views.
And that's what they do. That's exactly, and that's what Jim's worried about. That's what he says. Oh, you're worried about numbers. All you're worried about is numbers.
Well, I'd be worried too.
You know, and he makes us these lies.
I'd be worried too if I was a shitty enough PI that I couldn't get more than a one-time fucking payment. I'd be worried too.
Well, yeah, that's his thing. He gets a one-time payment,
which is the biggest fucking bullshit for a PI ever to do. And then not give the money back. As far as I heard, he didn't give any money back. So
no, he says he never gives refunds.
Oh, I'm sure.
So Sammy, do you want to share? Oh no, go ahead. Oh, sorry, NorCal girl, go ahead.
It's okay. I interrupt, but hey Dee, you mentioned you were out there that weekend, Memorial Day weekend with your family.
And I hadn't been out there in years.
Okay.
I went down there with my family. I got to see everyone there. I made sure I tracked down every one of my family members and said hi. They made sure I was there in town because I hadn't seen them in so long.
Okay. And were Troy and Scott out there that weekend?
Oh yeah. Troy was. Scott was. My dad.
Scott didn't show up till what day?
Later. He showed up later. Was it later Friday night? Or was it Saturday? I think it might have been Friday. but they came
And did
out.
everyone in your kind of stayed like in town?
Oh yeah,
Montello,
around
like, on
around the barns,
Saddlesburg?
because I mean that's my dad helps run the one, and my uncle helped run the other one. That's where we're at. We just hang around there. That's where everything's going on. That's where all the family is.
Okay. Did anyone take off and go out into the desert riding ATVs or anything like that?
My sister did earlier that morning with my dad. Everyone did. I stayed in the trailer because I had a kinked neck and didn't feel like going, and a headache. Sleeping on a bed in a camper killed me. Anyways.
And earlier in the morning, is that Friday morning or Saturday morning?
I'd have to look at the pictures because the pictures are dated in my iPhone.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
When I took pictures before we left and stuff, so I could tell you a date, but.
And I'm not coming at you. I'm just trying to, ask questions that other people might be thinking.
Right, and exactly. And it's like, what happened to this kid? What does everybody know? I mean, you got to get to the bottom of it somehow,
Yeah. Did you ever get to meet Dylan?
No, I did not.
Oh, okay.
Never got to meet him.
Well,
and you said that was the first time you got to go out there and visit your family in a long time, right?
Yeah, and I made sure I made my rounds, made sure all the family knew I was there and seen everybody and was saying hi, because it's been a long time since I've been down there because I live elsewhere. I just.
Okay. And as far as as far as law enforcement, because obviously they come in, they're interviewing as many people. Like, it's been stated, but I just want to make it clear again. Like, your dad cooperated in every way. Like, he was interviewed, like a lot of people probably interviewed.
Right.
And that's it.
Like any one of us would do, because you're like, what is going on here? Okay, I'll give you as much as I can. This is what I know. So. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. I don't know. All I could say is this PI doesn't do really good PI work.
Yeah, well, the reason we chose to come on here is because, quite frankly, I'm sick and tired of people saying, oh, where's all the rest of his kids? Why aren't any of his kids coming forward? We have private lives. We have a life.
Yeah.
We can't sit
and
on
we don't want to,
YouTube
it's not like everybody wants to get on there and go public and we're just normal people. We're trying to work. We have, pay bills, work, hang out with friends, do things. We got busy lives just like everybody else. We jump on YouTube here and there, but that's not our lives.
I completely agree. Like, I think all the time, when people are like, why don't they come on YouTube? I'm like, that's not the normal thing to do, I'm like,
people watch YouTube's for little videos and little information, a little bit here and there, but they don't. Yeah, you don't. I don't know. Can't sit on it all day.
What I go on YouTube is go on there to like find a video of how to do something. Like,
That's
I didn't
know
this side of YouTube existed. I was like, what?
Oh yeah, right. I didn't know either. I was like, whoa, they have like crazy ass people on here talking about stuff.
Yeah.
And honestly, the best thing to do is to not feed into it, but it's so hard, and that's why I really feel for you're talking about your dad getting like swept up into it, which is, it's really hard to turn it off when people are talking about you. That is hard.
Right. I wonder, it probably drive you insane because you don't know what to do with yourself. Life's no longer normal, and you're trying to figure out what to do.
So if you had like a magic wand right now and you could control YouTube or, everything, what would you guys want to happen?
I wish they would have found that kid out there, and it would have ended with them actually finding the person that did it, because I honest to God don't believe my dad would have it in him ever. He's got kids. My dad isn't that way. He's not a violent person.
Right.
And he's not crazy, and he's not into a bunch of freaking drugs, and has all of his fucking teeth, by the way. Thanks.
No, I think he's missing a few.
Oh, yeah, we're all missing a few, but I'm not saying his front teeth and shit. They were saying he had one tooth.
No, I'm missing a tooth, so.
Well, whatever. They were just making fun of my dad, and it just pissed me off because.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the same thing with with them talking about Dylan's parents. I think it's bullshit.
I know, right? I mean? It's more problems for them. It's more problems for them.
Upset. Yeah, man.
It's more problems for them when all they're trying to do is find their kid. They're doing everything they can to figure out what happened.
Right.
I don't blame them. Anybody that came up disappearing, you'd be wondering yourself.
I do believe that my dad was doing the best he could to be involved with trying to help his parents. And I do believe that PI is the one that caused that to come to an end.
Right. Right. I'm sure he does that a lot. Like he causes a lot of resentment and pain between people. That's what he does.
My dad would have been out there every day right with his dad. But when all this stuff gets thrown out there and all this crazy shit starts coming out, and you know that people start looking at my dad a little different, like, we didn't know that, but is it really true? And Dylan's dad didn't know my dad, so when he starts hearing that crap, who's just, he's probably shocked, like, maybe I have no idea what the crap's going on.
Right.
But instead of making it an argument or anything, just, I don't understand why they both honestly can't just be adults about it and come to an agreement. Like, it doesn't matter. None of that stuff matters. Like, I'm more than willing to go do whatever I can to help find him. My dad would have been out there every day with those people doing whatever he could.
Yeah, and Jim sows dissent, and also when things like this happen and people are in so much pain, like there's a lot of misunderstandings and things that happen. But they basically, when I've listened to them portraying your dad, I'm like, it's like he's like a movie character or something. And even last night, the one guy who has Doug, who has Jim on his panel all the time, he came up here and he was like, well, I think that Jim Brenner, this man who's actually, the main suspect by the FBI and is arrested, I think he's the fall guy. And I tried to just fall guy for who? Like, who is Kurt, this guy who's so powerful that he can get the FBI to like frame people for him? So it's crazy. Would you say, do you want to take like 20 seconds to just say who your dad actually is against like this crazy like movie villain that they've created him to be? Like, who is Kurt Wadsworth?
You want to go first?
You want me to explain who he is?
Well,
like,
each of us.
He's just a normal guy. They made him seem like a boogeyman, right?
No, he's not a boogeyman.
He's just like a normal guy. He's just a normal guy. He's just my dad.
Yeah. Yep. But he's lived out there for so many years, and I think everybody that has lived out there for so many years, they don't know what it's like to live in a city. They don't know what it's like to have all the traffic, and all the other things that other people deal with on a day-to-day basis. Their time, a lot of people that don't really leave there, they don't really have a sense of time. It's like another day. They get up and do what they need to do, and there's locals that go do their job, and the second they're back, they're right in the bar having a few beers before they go home for the night. Because it's completely different environment there. Everything slows down so much more when you're there. Like, we don't go down there to, make a big scene or anything. We're going down there to kind of get away from the hustle and bustle of everything.
Right.
Yep.
We get to go see our family. We get to hang out. We can have a little fire and just enjoy our time together. And you don't have drive-by shootings happening and all the traffic and everything. You can go ride where you want to ride, and there's not, as long as you, of course, I've never went on other people's property. You just stay on the main stuff, and we've rode clear over to the hot springs, different things like that. And that's what I'm saying. Like, their life out there is completely different than it is living in a city.
And that must be more crazy.
It's a peaceful life until something like this happens in a critical situation.
And then it creates chaos.
For everyone in the town, it seems like.
Well, and I mean, not only that, is like, I mean, like I said, to me, it seems like, he treated Dylan like he was like one of the kids, like one of you kids. Like,
right, and I guarantee he would have. He's got boys. He's got.
Well, and that's what I mean. Like, he would, they were like,
funny.
oh, well, he was over there every night having dinner. He was cooking him dinner every single night. What do you think that means? And I'm
Jim Terry said, we don't like our dad. It's not that we don't like our dad. We just don't live with my dad in Nevada. I'd rather have more of the city life. So I chose to live in the city. I had the choice to live down there. It was my choice.
Well, yeah, and I kind of looked at it like Kurt was showing Dylan the ropes. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
like, he was
right,
kind of guiding him.
Right. He does know a lot, especially when it comes to like fixing things. I mean, getting things running, equipment, stuff like that. He knows a lot. He taught us stuff like that when we were younger. How to ride motorbikes, how to check the carburetor, how to go through things, how to do things. But all I can say is I know he's not gay whatsoever, and he's never ever cross-dressed, ever.
I mean, it's like it just makes you feel better. Like Jim says that people are gay or cross-dressers a lot. Like in lots
I'm sure.
So, but I think that it's interesting, Queen, the way this interview is going. It's just like there's no crazy hot gossip. There's no salacious rumors. There's no this and that, because these people are just normal, regular people trying to live their lives, right? So I think it's like a good kind of thing to compare. Like it's such a contrast to the insane, toxic speculating and like telling crazy stories that's happening on other channels, and people these are real people.
That's what's funny. It's like, why did you call my brother that's in trouble to get a crazier story or something? Or
probably
what's up with that?
Well, yeah, and we talked about that too, because you know, like why would he message your brother that's in prison that he knows
let's get the brother that was strung out on drugs versus the brothers that aren't.
That's why though. That's why. I think Sammy too said that at one point he did try to reach out to Sammy 1. But
he probably, I don't know if they reach out to me, because like I said, I watch YouTube videos, but if I got a weird phone number, I'm gonna ignore it. I get spam calls all the time. I ignore them. If I don't know the number and it's not my phone, you're getting ignored.
No, he was searching for dirt, so obviously.
Oh, it looks like it. Like I said, he obviously wasn't searching very far, because if he would have went and tried to dig a little deeper and get a hold of us kids and said, "Hey, is your dad ever cross-dressed? Is your dad gay?" and went to each one of us and got a no from every freaking kid, you'd start thinking, okay, maybe that's not it.
Right. And he would never hear that from you. He would never listen to that. So that's like, he doesn't want to talk to he doesn't want the real story. Because the real story is not a story. They're making these stories out of thin air.
Yeah, they're trying to get more and more views. That's why they're pumping out videos every day, just talking about the same shit, just a little different.
Okay, so everything I've heard that PI put out there, whether it was a recorded phone call or anything like that, he's the one that's controlling the conversation. He can't just ask a question and let the other person answer it. He's got to be like, "Oh, well, didn't you say you saw this, or isn't this what you saw?" And it's like, dude, let the people answer. Don't just try and control the conversation. Like, I don't know if he's just very hyper or what his deal is, but he doesn't give people a chance to respond.
Exactly. He asked on that recording he put out that he did not know. He recorded that person without their permission, and he put it out, and it was like Dylan's friend's father. And he literally gets him on the phone. He's like, "So tell me, was this kid gay?" And the guy just says no. And he wouldn't take that as an answer. He was just trying to say, "Well, I'm not trying to argue with you, but let me tell you all my crazy things."
And digging, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, he doesn't hear it.
I'll give you.
Yeah.
Man. I don't know. I can't watch that guy's videos because he's got everything all mixed up and wrong and just stupid. It sounds retarded to me, actually. But yeah, I guess. It's ridiculous. It's gotten to that level to where it's like somebody needs to be set straight, because that guy is obviously wrong in all levels.
Hey, you know what? I can handle an asshole and I can handle all those things. I cannot handle someone that constantly just wants to push back and try and get you to like admit
to something that you're not guilty of.
You're just going to agree a yes because he won't shut the hell up.
Yeah.
He's not just insane.
He's not just a forceful personality. Like he's a pathological liar. I mean, he doesn't even try to keep his story straight from one live to the next, you know? I mean, it's very easy to find discrepancies. But I mean, I hope that, you know, your dad's able to take your advice to stay out of the toxicity as much as possible. Is he getting a lot of like real world intrusion? Like I know somebody like drove up there to meet him. Is he getting a lot of people trying to like call him and knock on his door and stuff?
He doesn't talk about it. I'm sure there's people that have done it. I think when I was actually down there is when, like, I think it was the mob crew or one of those had put out a video, and I literally was outside smoking, and I went back in and I was like, "Dad, apparently these guys just went through town today or something. They have this live video they posted on here." And So I'm watching it and I'm like, but I don't see my car in it. So maybe it wasn't done today,
Right.
you know? And I'm just like, now there's people on YouTube driving out here so they can actually like see the area live. And
I know, it's not.
I'm just like, oh, this is getting crazy.
Yeah, I don't blame people for being curious because nobody's found the kid. I mean, how do you disappear in the middle of the freaking desert? That's it's insane. I feel horrible for the parents. Like,
yes.
Nobody wants their kid to just disappear.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm glad the FBI came in. It does seem, I know they haven't arrested the suspect on these charges yet, but they've named him the suspect. They have him locked up. And I think they probably know, they probably have a clear idea what's happening and trying to build the case.
Right.
And it's horrible. And the fact that Dylan's parents have to put up, especially his mother has to put up with her being absolutely dragged and just
dragged to the mud over nothing.
It's awful. I mean, it's defamation. It's terrible.
It is, and it's horrible. When it comes to real people's lives, defamation can ruin your life.
Yeah. You know what? No one's perfect, and I totally understand that. I don't care how much money she owes to someone. Like, that's irrelevant.
Yeah.
I get that they're saying that it might be a slim chance that maybe somehow she was involved because she owes all these people money. I would never in a million years be like, okay, well, let's just get rid of one of my children to pay this back. That's not how moms think.
Right. And it's not even, by the way, it's not even accurate what they're saying, right? But you're right. He got mad because she didn't like him. She didn't want him around. And, you know, he reached out to, he only cold calls people to get hired. And he tried to reach out to the dad, and they ignored him. And then he reached out to the grandparents, and he reached out to the aunt. He does this all the time. We'll try different family members, pressured the grandparents, got them on his little sales pitch. And he was so, like, his ego was so bruised and his feelings were so hurt that.
Oh, you can tell he's got a big, if you could sit there and make fun of people on a YouTube video, you got a big ego.
Right. So he's basically just doing this. All he wants to do now is to hurt Candace Cooley. Like, that's his mission. That's the whole point of all of this. And he says terrible things about her, and he just wants to ruin her reputation. He wants to ruin her life. He wants to do the same thing to your dad too. That's what he does when he doesn't like people.
Well, we need to freaking serve this mother effer a cease and desist and get real.
No one can find him. We think he's he's basically like hiding, right? Like, what kind of?
Oh yeah.
See where he is. He doesn't have an address. Like, come on.
Yeah, but he puts his number on every video. Like, call me so I can have a talk with you.
Yeah, he deserved that cease and desist, and he's not going to cease and desist.
I know, because he's still doing videos, and it just makes my blood boil.
I can imagine.
I can't wait for shit to get real. Is the honest truth.
Yeah. Yep.
Like I say, you know, he gets away with a lot, but he's doing like so much stuff, and he has gotten in trouble with the law before. So, you know, I don't think he's living a great life, and this stuff.
I hope not. If you're going to spread lies about people and not really do very good investigation work.
It just sucks. Like, you know what, the rumors being said about my dad and my uncles. Mm-hmm. I don't. You know, I just kind of got to the point where I was like, I have to just stop caring what people really think out there. Like, it doesn't matter. We all know the truth. I've been in their lives my whole entire life.
Yeah.
I've never once, like, I would leave my children with them and not have a care in the world. Like, they're not the type of people that everyone's portraying them to be. And I'm tired of hearing about now it, you know, went from my Uncle Troy having women locked up in the shed to now my Uncle Scott.
Yeah, which is a bunch
didn't
of
have anyone
crap.
held hostage. Right. And, you know, there's all these big questions out there that they think they need to ask. It's none of their freaking business.
That's a bunch of bullcrap. You think you could honestly get away with that and not be locked up for a few years
seriously.
And now,
think about it a little bit. Think about it.
There's no ending. Now you guys are all related to Dylan's family, right? Like, it's so out there, and there's going to be, it's really.
It's because it's a small town. There's nowhere to look, so they're going to look everywhere they can, just like they're doing in the desert.
And this is really like a couple hundred people on the internet who are buying this, and that's really what it is. It feels big, but there's people on the internet who believe that lizard people control like the earth. So, you know, there's always people who believe crazy things.
You're not wrong.
No, and as soon as your sister went on that thing, now that he has a rumor about your sister, and he hates that the Adventures with Purpose people who they are search and rescue divers, and now he's making up things about one of them is like
Well, and didn't
Children.
Didn't that happen in your area? Wasn't that in your area?
Jed was in Idaho.
Yeah, I thought that was in it was in somebody's area that
It's
they were
in the
talking
area
about
where
it.
my sister lives. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say there was somebody in the area that was talking about it. So
there's nothing he won't.
somebody hold on. Somebody says here, I am glad to hear from Kurt's family. I did hear Sammy the other night. Keep on fighting with Jim Terry. He's really trying to hurt everyone he deals with. I agree with that.
Obviously, like I said, if you're going to get on there and just start throwing out names and accusing people and not really do some good investigation work, yeah.
Well, Dustin, hey, he's even thrown out there that he has some proof of some kid from some other country that came to visit Dylan. And then he's thrown out there that I don't remember if it was someone else that knew Dylan that he talked to or something, or that he claims Dylan had a relationship with. Dude, put up or shut up. That's all I got to say.
Right. Either
There's been no proof put out there.
Get some solid proof or shut the hell up.
And it hurts me for Dylan's family. Like, I actually sit here and hurt for them because I can't even imagine what they're going through right now.
And it's not doing,
imagine it.
Right, and it's not doing any of it any good.
No, it's like, think about, they're going through the worst thing that could be what they're going through is a horrible nightmare that most of us will never experience. It's the worst thing that can happen. And while it's happening, they have a psycho like Jim Terry who's literally like just kicking them while they're down. You know, it's just terrible. And
I'm glad he didn't call me, because if he would have been rude or forceful on the phone, I'm not the type to do that with.
No. But I mean, what would you want going forward, right? I mean, like, you guys are not YouTube people. You do not desire this. You don't want to now make the rounds on people's panels like every night. Like, and I think,
that's not going to happen. This is a one time.
So what's like the message that, like, for people who are continuing to talk about Jim and what he's doing, that you want out there? Jim,
Jim needs to get fucking real about investigating, is all I'm saying, because he obviously didn't dig very far for any truth.
Well, he claimed he got fired so far in because he was stuck on the
isn't it
scenario.
A one-time payment where you can't fire him and he just continues to talk bullshit?
Yeah, basically.
That's what I thought it was.
Yeah, if you fire him, he just goes on the attack against you.
Right, he just goes on YouTube to make money on what he's got.
What fathoms me is why people still even contact that guy. I get that there's probably some people who like him.
To chew him out. I know, but and I'm glad I didn't, because it would have been a horrible phone call. Because I
don't understand is there's no point in contacting people like that have nothing to do with the case anymore. Like, there was a few times I was pissed off and half tempted to call his number, but then I'm like, you know what? No, I'm not going to give him the satisfaction of the day. He doesn't deserve it.
That's exactly how I felt, because just watching him made my blood boil. And like they were saying, you're the one or the other. Well, if you watch closely, if you're the ones in the real life, like it's happening to us, you know better. It makes your blood boil, because he obviously didn't dig very far for any information. He didn't reach out very far. He's reaching out at the worst places possible to get what? No good information?
Yeah. Yep.
What it sounds like to me. Because honestly, if I was a PI, I'd get real and do a little digger deep in there, buddy. Like a real fucking PI. Dig a little deeper. Get a sense.
I think the hard part is that Sammy 2's like, who's calling this guy? Well, one, he's probably making up a lot of phone calls, but there are a lot of unwell people out there who believe conspiracy theories, who watch things on YouTube.
Who doesn't believe in certain
right. And I feel like bottom line is, people like Jim, or people like those people who are calling him and probably aren't well, normally we don't have them in our lives. And the problem is that now they are able to like insert themselves into your life, right? Like, obviously these people exist, but I think that they're just people that might have like some mental illness, or like have some problems and aren't like totally in touch with reality. And the problem is, on the internet, you can get them all in one space and all focus on one thing.
Right.
All of a sudden they're in your life. They're kind of like in your living room. But they do not reflect the actual, population.
I can't stand to watch anymore, because there's things that he says, like, oh, well, I'll put this out there. And then he's like, oh,
never does.
I can't. What pisses me off is I caught the other night that he claimed he paid money for these pictures,
which he didn't.
And here's my YouTube. And then I heard him say in that conversation, well, it's up to $139.
Hey,
so
hey, ask him if he'll pay me for my pictures that weekend of the family in the bar.
Now, see, the thing is, Jim doesn't pay for pictures. He'll tell other
Oh, well, bummer. I mean, come on.
Well, just listen though. So he claimed he paid for the pictures, and if I remember correctly, that guy, whatever, Doug, said that he's like, well, I don't think that we should be asking people for money to see the pictures. You said you were going to provide them, and now you're not. But they get talking about other stuff, and then the PI is like, well, it's up to $139 so far. And he shows the one picture, and I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. Like, this is a freaking joke. Yeah. This is a missing kid. Right. There's no reason why it has to come to this ridiculous level that you think you need people to pay you to see a picture. I don't care who took the picture. I don't think anything should be handed over to that PI.
Right.
At this
I
point.
think everything should be free. Everybody that's actually searching for the kid's going to be willing and just give it. It's valuable, like everyone's searching for him. If you're going to go out there, you're not going to sell it. What are you, a criminal yourself?
This is about money for him. Like he wants to get money out of people.
Well, of course, I watch his videos. That's why he exaggerates and does the weird shit he does. And
he claimed he paid $500 a picture, and then the next day he recanted it and said that he didn't pay for the pictures, and he returned the money that was sent to him. And I was like, you can't even keep it.
He didn't return the money. That person requested a PayPal refund.
I was just like, wow, this is ridiculous. Like, I was like, why can't he just be a respectful professional if he is really a PI and show the family some respect?
Yeah, I
would honestly like to see what happened to him if someone in his family come up missing, and the tax went towards him and all these horrible things that he has to say and do, and it's like never ending. It's like, dude, if you claim you're a PI and you have other jobs to do, then do them.
Well, he thought that some people, I'll tell you what he would do if people were doing this to him, because he's mad that people are making jokes about his college football career. And his reaction is to tell a woman that her 14-year-old son is a fat bastard, and over his dead body will he ever get a college scholarship.
As far as I'm concerned, he's just a normal guy like the rest of us. You don't know me. I don't fucking know you. Don't care.
Right. I'm saying it's just they're creating stuff, and it's hard for you guys to respond to it because there's really nothing to respond to.
Right, because there's, other than shake our heads and be like, what kind of real work has this guy done other than piss us all off with wrong information? And not do some real investigation work, because honestly, do some work. What, you got 4 shitty phone calls, and you're gonna base a whole theory off those?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, basically.
Okay, all right. Well, I'd dig deeper than that. Fuck, give it 9 calls. Shit, maybe 10.
Well, he claims he didn't do anything else because the family didn't want him to. They let him go. So I'm not going to actively work on this case. What do you call it then?
Right. What does he do? Because now he's getting people to do a GoFundMe to pay him to come back on the case. And he's just going to keep doing the thing the whole time.
I would put a GoFundMe up to get him fired even farther. Actually put in jail for slander and defamation. Honestly,
I mean, I think eventually he's gonna go too far and cross somebody, because what he's doing is really, it's unethical, but it's also probably towing the line in a lot of places of legality and stuff. But I mean, when you live, I don't know where you live, right? When you live with no fixed address and you make your money by tricking people out of money. I mean, we can't expect him to all of a sudden.
I just think it's a lot of unnecessary crud. I didn't know that, when people go missing, that it ever come to this extreme. I didn't know that this side of YouTube existed. I didn't know that families get attacked for their child being missing. I didn't know that it could turn into a level of, because it's a small town and it's out there in the middle of nowhere and people choose to live that lifestyle. Hell, if I had the means to move out there and get away from all of the crap that you have in cities, I would do it. But no, I have debt. We have a house. We have other things. I can't just move out there and not have any source of income. And it's harder to have income out there. Maybe I should get savvy and, try and do some home internet.
Right. You could probably run some of his scams.
I moved away from my family, 10, 11 years ago. And I moved to a smaller town for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
I don't live in a big, huge city. I live in a smaller place, and my kids hated it growing up. And I told them, when you get older, you'll thank me.
Right.
Because I remember those days, you know, when we didn't live in big towns, in big cities and stuff, and you could go outside and roam around, and your parents didn't have to worry about you getting kidnapped or, you know, any of those things going on. And so we grew up, you know, kind of a sheltered life when we were younger, because we didn't have to worry about those things. Like, we could go as far away from our parents as we could possibly get, and they never worried about us because we always came back. We were, you know, we weren't in a city. We didn't have neighbors. Like, we could go hike the mountain and, you know, do what we wanted.
Shooting jackrabbits at night.
Yeah.
I mean,
Catching
riding
snakes and, you know,
motorbikes.
I was the tomboy. I hung out with the brothers and went and did the brother things. I didn't do the fingernails and the hair, and but it's just, some of the stuff's absolutely insane. And that's why I'm like, you know, my kids are like, I want to go visit our family. And I'm like, you know, we have other things going on. We can't always go visit. And so I have one kid that probably doesn't care to live in the city, and another kid that wants to go live in the biggest city possible. So
I think you're right. And that's my thing with this. When you were talking about, you didn't realize that this is what happens when there's these high profile missing person cases, and they do. And what I try to tell people is, people think it's just YouTube, it's just speculating. I'm like, no, it's not, because people show up on these people's front lawns, and people
and that's
call,
when you're scared, for real.
It's very scary, and it's not right. Just because you happen to be the victim of a crime, or you happen to know someone's a victim of a crime, does not mean that you should be subjected to all of this.
Right, and that's why we try to stay out of it. Like, I love my dad to death, and I can say for sure he's not a cross-dresser, because I never stumbled across any dresses. Ever.
I didn't stumble across anything that would make me think that. So
right, me neither. And I mean, when we were younger, I mean, my dad's kind of a pack rat. He ain't good at hiding very much stuff. You know, we'd be able to fight and fit, you know.
I mean, it's like crazy they even like have to even try to say that, like, oh, I didn't know. Like, obviously not. He just throws stuff out there.
Right.
Anything. Like, literally every single person he's ever fought with is a drug addict. Because it's like so yeah.
Hey guys, so to piggyback on that, if it's okay, I get permission to maybe ask some questions to help debunk some rumors, if that's okay with you guys.
Yep, fine.
Okay. Have you ever, Dylan?
No.
I have.
Okay, and what was like? Can you tell us about him?
The first time I met him, he was quiet at first. But he was here probably about an hour with my dad. And he started talking, you know, and my dad introduced him and everything. And, you know, he wasn't following my dad around everywhere we went, because we were busy talking about this and that. Dylan just kind of hung out and stuff. He seemed like a very nice kid. And I didn't ask like where he was from, you know, where he grew up. I didn't ask any of those questions. I just assumed that it was probably someone that my dad knew, like another guy, and that was his kid or something, you know, and they decided to come and do this trip together that day to get stuff they both needed or whatever, and just left it at that. The second time I met him, he came here without my dad, picked up some stuff, and I never asked him like where he was from or anything like that again. I didn't even question like why he was even traveling through this area. Like it didn't dawn on me. My dad said he was coming through and he would stop and pick up the stuff. So I was like, okay, great. Picked up the stuff, and then he had to come back. I think it was probably a few weeks later to return my buckets that the stuff was in. And a couple of them had some concrete, you know, stuff in them. And I kind of made the joke. I was like, well, if you needed them more than I did, you can just keep them. And he goes, well, they were available. And I said, that's fine. You know, you can keep them. It's what I had handy to work with. And I was like, okay. So I said, you can keep those ones. I'll take the clean ones back. You know, and we kind of giggled about it and stuff. And my boyfriend talked to him for a little bit, and then he left. The next time he came, I believe it was dark, and we were eating dinner, and he come to pick up more sacks of apples that I had. And he seemed like he was in a hurry. And I just was like, hey, you know, it's dark. And I thought he had to drive clear back down to Nevada. So I was like, you know, you can at least eat dinner or something. You got a long drive ahead of you. And he's like, no, I just got to, you know, go about 15 minutes away, and I'm doing some work over there. And I was like, oh, you're actually that close to here? And he's like, yeah, I was just going through, and I told your dad I'd get the apples. And I'm like, okay. I said, well, can I still feed you dinner? And he kind of hesitated, he seemed like he was always in a hurry. And I said, it's 5 minutes, dude. All you have to do is eat it. It's the least I can do. So he sat down in my living room. He ate the dinner, drank his water or whatever I gave him to drink. And he said, thank you. And I just told him, yeah, least I can do. You're stopping and picking up some apples for my dad. So I don't mind feeding you. And he left. And then the last time I met him, he just came here to pick up a few more things. And, he backed in my driveway. We loaded the stuff up. My boyfriend talked to him for a few minutes, and then he went on his merry way. He seemed like he was not really fidgety, but like he had other stuff to do. Like he wasn't coming here to, visit. And I knew that I knew he was, probably just in a hurry to get back whatever he needed to be doing. But he seemed like a very nice, young kid. I have nephews his age too. So I didn't ask him a bunch of personal questions about his life or anything. I just kind of left it simple because he kind of seemed a little shy. So I wasn't going to press, and start asking him a bunch of questions. But, he was nice. He made conversation with us too while he was here. It wasn't like he was just like, oh, put his head down. I'm just here to get the stuff and leave. Like he talked, and things. And he just seemed like a nice kid, but he seemed like he was busy. Like he just always needed to be somewhere else. So.
Okay.
Sorry, guys. I got to try to hurry.
You can mute it, Dustin. Oh, and there I call you.
Well, I know. I was just saying I got to hurry.
Oh. So that was the little bit that I knew of him. I'd never seen him down in Montello. I don't go down, it probably twice or 3 times a year. So.
But when you did meet him, he was really nice. He was really respectful and really nice.
Yeah, he was a nice kid.
Yeah, he reminds me of like a hardworking kid. Like I really believe that I really believed when his mom said he's a hardworking kid. I really do believe that. I believe that he was a hard worker. I believe that he really thought he could do something when he was out there with that farm. I really do believe that.
See,
and to me,
meet other hard workers, which led to my dad, I'm sure, because my dad
that's kind of where I felt like he comes in, maybe he did go to the bar, and that's where he met your dad, or maybe he asked him to help with work, and your dad kind of showed him the ropes. That's kind of what it seemed like to me.
Right, and that sounds like my dad. He'd be like, all right, I can help out. This is what I can do.
This is what I don't understand. My uncle and my dad and some of my family have lived down there for a really long time. There's never been any problems with them going to jail and, committing all these crimes that they say that they're committing out there and all this crazy stuff. I'm just like, you know what? That stuff doesn't happen in Montello. Like, I've never heard of anything like that happening down there. And I'm just like, whatever, they can talk all the crap they want to talk, but it just, like, I don't understand where they come up with all these crazy stories about
especially like
heads and
you're gonna lock some girls out in a shed in the middle of the desert. You don't think you're not going to prison or something for a while? Have a record
you say that.
I mean, the girl.
That was my next question.
My question. If you want to get a real interview,
Yeah, because I think that you say this kind of stuff doesn't happen in Montello, but I don't think this kind of stuff happens anywhere on Earth. Because it's just it's so outrageous.
Right.
Yeah.
NorCal, did you have a question? I think I cut you off.
Oh, okay. Next question. Well, my next question was the girls that were kidnapped by either Scott or Troy. What do you guys know about that? Have you heard those rumors?
That's what he was just saying.
Sure
he was just saying if something like that.
Would have heard something.
Yeah. I mean, I thought it was funny when you heard him telling the story. Remember when he was telling the story, NorCal Girl, and he was like,
I'm pretty sure one of them would have been.
Yeah, go ahead.
And then.
Oh, do we lose Dee? But he was like, oh, and then one of them escaped the rope, and she ran to the post office. And then he goes, is there a post office out there? Like he had asked, and the people were like, yeah. He's like, okay, yeah. Well, he ran to the post office, and like he's just making it up.
And she was barefoot.
Why would you run to the post office? Why wouldn't you run to a bar, which probably has more people at him.
It's
He's
not
like, yes.
that.
So it must have been close to the post office.
The post office is literally like really
I
close.
don't even think I've ever seen it open.
The post office, it is. You just don't see cars there because right when you look,
Yeah,
there's,
right.
you know,
That's the joke. It's so small. I mean, is it?
But what shocked me is there's
how
story about it.
The scratch on Troy's arm. You guys know how?
Oh my goodness! Yeah, he's got a
On his
3-wheeler
arm.
that he rides around out there. I don't believe it was from anything crazy.
I
He
had
might
to
have-
call.
I could see him falling off of his 3-wheeler and fucking himself up a little bit.
Yeah, I had to call him when I heard about the scratches. I'm like, okay, dude, what? I was just down there and I didn't see any scratches. Like, I'm confused. I spent 4 days there and I never saw scratches on your arm. And he goes, I was being stupid and
Not
tipped
only-
my brother over.
We didn't see anything weird or anything out of the ordinary.
Okay, so
Being
Sammy
down there.
too, were you there that Memorial Day weekend?
No, I did. I was supposed to go down that weekend, but I had forgot what weekend it was set out for all of us to go, and we made other plans. So
Oh, okay, gotcha.
otherwise, I would have been there as well. But
How's this one? Does your dad have 28 wives that live in the Philippines?
I don't think there's 28 of them. I've never
Not 28.
actually asked him how many there is. You know what? I bet you there's a lot of, it's not just my dad that has girlfriends from the Philippines. They're out
Okay.
there. I know there's probably
Online.
a lot of men that do. And you know
It's
what?
not like he's got him down there in Nevada. He talks to him online.
this
So
is the way I
they're
look
girlfriends. They're not his wives, or he's
at
not
it. You
married
know what?
to
If
any
he
of them.
wants to call him that, that's his own personal business.
Okay.
Why does it
If
matter
they
if
want
you
to
say
agree to
wife
it,
or
that's their own
boyfriend or
personal
girlfriend?
business too.
Yeah, I think that Sammy one said something like, you know, that's his religious belief, like that's his personal life. So I mean,
Okay.
it could be right. I mean, like, sure, there could be things that we're dissecting this man's life for no reason. He's just like a random
Right, but he's
person.
not.
We're gonna find something
Right,
that
he just talks
might
to
not-
he just talks to him online. He doesn't do, you know.
Well, okay, so
He's
my dad's
never
done
had
that
him down there
for years.
personally, so.
No, but my dad's done that for years. It's no secret to any of us that he has women in the Philippines that he talks to. And I'm tired of people saying, well, what about the payments he sends over there? It's not payments for anything. If my dad chooses to send any of his money to the Philippines to help those women out, who cares?
right, and he's not hiding it from you. I mean, he could, and he can have secrets from his family if he wants to, but this is not.
and he's
not a secret.
Yeah, it's not a secret to you guys.
I mean, it was actually kind of cool because he showed me pictures of at one of the places, one of the ladies he knew, he sent her money, got a toilet and stuff put in their house, like stuff that they don't have, and because they're so poor, it's a third world country, you know.
Oh, yeah.
And just showed me like pictures of, and said, you know, it doesn't take very much, but it's a lot over there, you know.
And they act like he's like sending all this money over there. It's literally, I'm
No.
talking $25 here would probably last them the whole entire month over there.
Right.
That's true. That's very true. Yes.
So they need to
You're
quit
right.
like, throwing this out that he's making payments to the Philippines. If he chooses, you know, and I don't care how much child support my dad owes. I could care less.
We could all
That's
care
done and
less.
over
We're over that.
Like,
Okay.
you know what? And that's a whole different thing. I don't care if people want to say my dad didn't pay child support. That's between him and my mom. Yeah. It, you know, whatever the situation was back then, that's over and done with. I don't care. That's what I'm saying. Like, we're not like, hey, dad, you know, you shouldn't be sending, you know, the $25 over to the Philippines. You should be paying it to my mom for back child support from how many years ago?
Right.
Like 20 now?
Right.
Like, who
Okay.
cares at this point, you know? And that's why I'm just like, you know what? If you can send them $25 and they can eat out and they can go shopping and they can do things in their little, you know, whatever places they live in to make their life better, who cares? Who cares?
The only person who cares apparently is Jim Terry, like, because like, right, that's he cares, but that's about it.
Well,
Yeah,
I want to Google. I'm curious to see how many men actually, you know, have so-called girlfriends from the Philippines, and they actually send them money. Like, I bet you there's thousands and thousands of them. There might be millions of them.
Gotta be.
Like, who cares?
It's a thing, like, right? I mean, it's definitely a thing like that that exists.
It's not a crime to send somebody money and help them.
No.
So I don't see the harm. He's never actually met most of these women. So where's the harm?
My dad's internet uses, he knows how to get on there and do the video chats with them. Yeah. My dad cannot multitask. My dad can't even, I was on the phone with him and I'm like, Dad, if you swipe, it'll get rid of the phone call screen and you can go to the text message. And he's like, I don't know how to do that. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, I told him, I said, when I'm down there again, you're going to learn some stuff on your phone. Cause I'm like, it's not hard to do multiple things on your phone at once, but he can't. But he knows how to answer their phone calls. You know, that part's, you know, he's got that down to where he can do his little video chats with them and stuff. When I was there for the 4 days, the lady called him every day, one of them. And I said hi to her. You know, turn the camera, hi, you know, no big deal. I'm not going to personally spend a lot of time on the internet trying to get to know these ladies. I have a life. But if that's what my dad chooses to do and that makes him happy, then I don't care. Like, honestly, what woman are you going to find that's going to want to go live in Montello? From any other, you know, luxuries of life that you can meet, they're not going to want to move out there and have to drive 50 miles to any store or anything, you know. And that's why I'm like, it's harder to find women that want to live that kind of lifestyle out there in the middle of nowhere. And I'm sure that the pickings are slim in town. So
okay. Have you guys ever met another 19-year-old young man that lives out there that's also farming, that your dad is also a father figure to?
No.
Okay. Is your dad friends with Justin Rounds and his family, or Candace Cooley and her family?
No.
Not that I'm aware ever.
Okay.
I believe that he pretty much met them both when all this happened. So.
Well, okay. Yeah, he stays in Mon.
Do you guys know James Brenner?
I've never personally met the guy.
Nope.
And then, hold on. Perplex QT, she said, hey guys, hope everyone is doing well. Who is on panel? Two of Kurt's children are on panel. And they came on to kind of clear up some of the rumors and, you know, bullshit lies that are going on, as you know. And yeah, I'll drop a link. Do you guys mind if she comes up for a few minutes? Her name is Laura, and she has a channel. She's really, really nice. Jim's been going after her.
This is the lady that he made the t-shirt about.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. Yes, she's more than welcome.
I do have one. It's not really a question, but I think we talked about it before. I don't know if it was on the live, but just to be clear, your brother Aaron, who is in prison and has had a troubled past, he's been estranged from your father for a while, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Correct.
And you would not be surprised if he had negative things to say, or he would be happy to talk negatively about your
Absolutely not surprised at all.
Okay.
I'm sure he's got bad things about all of his kids, about harking on him about how stupid he was being.
Hey.
Hey, how are you?
Good. He did more than a shirt, if you heard him today.
Oh.
But
I'm sorry.
I actually just have a couple of questions, because I am the one that released the phone call with Kurt and the other guy. So that's why I wanted to talk to you. So my question to you, I just have a couple questions. I've been covering the case from probably around day 10. And, you know, James, in the beginning, we all went by the things that we heard from Jim.
Mm-hmm.
And then as some of us started exploring more and more, we realized that he's clueless and absolutely knows nothing. So then when we started doing more and more research, more and more questions came up. So one of the questions I have, which is really could have to do with the case and could not, but why do you think your dad blames Ty, Ty blames your dad? Like, if they really don't even know each other and Ty doesn't even know Dylan, why do you think they're always like, what's the rift between them?
That I don't know. As far as I know, I've never met Ty. I don't know if I've ever even seen the guy there when I was there. So, but I don't really pay attention to every single person that goes by.
Yeah, I've never met him either.
As far as I know, they knew of each other. Like, you know, probably just small town acquaintances, but I don't think that they were friends before this. I don't think that they, you know, drank beer or anything together like that. But I'm sure their paths crossed here and there. I think that the beef do you even call it beef? I think it was when Ty got on the lives and started saying, oh, that piece of shit Scott, and oh, Troy, and, you know, but I'm good friends with their sister and Troy's ex-wife. And I thought, who the heck is this guy? Like, but, you know, I think that's where it kind of started. If you want to sit there and call out people when you got your own skeletons, buddy, it's, you know, I think that my dad's like, okay, whatever. You know, I don't care what this guy thinks. He doesn't know anything.
And I agree. And that's kind of the feeling I got listening to both of them, basically. And I was like, somehow I don't think that, like, because they would just kept blaming each other. And, you know, people that were for Kurt was blaming Ty, and people that were for Ty were blaming Kurt. And it kind of got lost in, okay, this is about Dylan. So I was just wondering if there was some deep-seated beef that, you know, we as like people that are looking into it just weren't aware of.
Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't even know who the guy was. I literally had to like call my dad and who is this? Like, who is this guy? Oh, it's just Ty Corbin. I'm like, explain who he is. Because I remember one time we were riding from town up to like Montello Springs or something. I saw an alpaca out there in the middle of the freaking sagebrush, and I'm taking a picture of it. Like, you can come to Montello and see an alpaca out in the middle of nowhere. There's nothing around. Like, what the hell is this thing even doing out here? I didn't have any idea it was tied to that guy. I didn't know he was an alpaca farmer. I just thought, okay, someone's alpaca got out, and they obviously don't care. So,
all right. The other questions I have, and by the way, you did great on Zap Girls. I was listening to that, and you had stated that. Oh, now I forgot. I was talking about it last night. Now I forgot.
This was her sister. This is her sister. So Sam.
Well, yeah, I was gonna say, hold on. Are you talking about Zap Girl? Yeah, he's okay. I was gonna say that. Yeah, there's Sammy from last night on Zap Girl, and then there's Sammy too over here. So they're sisters.
Oh, okay. So this isn't the one that was on Zap Girl?
No.
She sounds just like her.
I know.
I sound just like my sister on the phone too.
Okay. All right, so now I'm really confused. So he has two daughters named Sammy?
I just
she didn't. Yeah, I was gonna say with the way people. I mean, I'm sure people are gonna figure out who it is, but she just put. I said just put Sammy number 2 because you know.
Not the real name.
We're gonna try to figure out your name.
I gotcha. Okay. That makes more sense because I was
and they just, like I said, this is real life to them. They didn't ask for this. They didn't want to be involved in all this. They didn't, you know what I mean? So I just told them, I said, if you don't want to use your real name or whatever, put that out there. I'm sure if somebody really wants to find out, they're going to, but you know, make it hard.
I was confused for a minute. I was like, huh? Hold on. Hang on, guys.
But I think that's interesting, and I think that sounds right. What Sammy too was saying, that you know Ty was basically just an acquaintance, somebody who's like kind of up in the area, who you know liked being involved, and now the beef that they have, them kind of like being at each other's throats, is probably literally just from this internet drama, not from anything like real that they had before they came. I think Ty's kind of you know inserted himself a little bit here, and I think it probably gives. He probably enjoys, you know, calling up with all those guys, getting on their lives, and it's probably interesting for him. But I wouldn't be surprised that if that's true, that this basically
ask yourself what's there to do in the middle of the desert.
And it's funny that you say that. I totally agree with you, and I said that from the beginning. I'm usually pretty good at reading people, and I'm like, this guy just wants his 15 minutes of fame. I don't care what anybody says. I'm just not seeing. Hang on.
I don't know the guy, like I said, but I do find it strange that he decided to come into the picture however many days later it was. I don't know if he decided to call the PI to be like, hey, yeah, whatever, go out there and search. Do what you got to do. I can't say I've been down there searching. I wanted to. It hurt me when I found out about this. And I actually had a talk with my boyfriend, like, should we go? They're doing stuff this weekend. Should we go and try and do our part? Like, anything helps at this point. But it was like, but then when the attack started on my family, I was like, okay, no, I don't want to be involved in any of that drama. Like, that is absolutely ridiculous. So I want to do what I can, but then at the same sense, I'm not going to put myself out there to be attacked as well. It's just asinine to me.
So now you guys grew up out there?
No, we lived there.
I was out there when I was younger, from 15, well, actually from about 12 clear up to about 16. We'd off and on. We'd go out there in the summer times with my dad and see my dad.
Not because
I learned a lot of good stuff out there from my dad, so I wouldn't resent it.
I don't mean your dad. I just meant the town, because there's like nothing there.
We lived down there.
We got to learn how to catch rattlesnakes, catch lizards, shoot guns, ride motorbikes, get scuffed up,
But we did live down there when we were younger. Remember, for a short time.
Right.
So one question I do have is, hopefully you guys may not know this, the drug scene, the meth scene.
Well, all I know of it is years ago when my little brother Aaron was like 15. I'm pretty sure that's where he started doing it.
Okay.
And I don't think my dad was aware of it. Like, he had his few friends there in town. He was down there, living with my dad. And when he was done helping my dad do work or whatever, he would go do his own thing with, friends or whatever. So I'm sure he got hooked up in that scene somehow. And that's where I'm aware that he started doing it. So it wasn't anything like that I don't think people really talked about back in those days, because there probably wasn't that many of them, but it's a small town. So, I guess when you live there, you start seeing different people and their same habits and different things like that. I think every town, it's going to get worse and worse as time.
Yeah, I was down there. I dated a couple girls down there. I never seen any of that. But I also am the type that if I did, I would try and avoid it, because I don't want anything to do with that.
Well, the reason I ask is when Jim first came around talking about this militia thing, and I'm like, there's not enough real people out there to have a militia.
Right.
Then I started thinking about meth labs. And if there are underground meth labs, there are going to be people that are going to watch it so the meth heads don't get it.
Right.
But nobody's been able to. I mean, we've gotten confirmation that there is a lot of drugs out there, but that's just the desert.
Right. I've been all over that valley when I was younger, and I never ran in possibly a meth lab or anything. Yeah, random broken down buildings out in the middle of the desert and weird shit like that. But
yeah,
nothing like, wow, a bunker.
Okay. So there's no, for lack of a better way to say, militia, because it's not. So
no, there definitely is not. No,
so there's nobody. Okay. Because usually if there's a lot of meth people around there, there's usually a lot of meth.
There's always going to be weird people that come through town or stop by. You never know. It's the middle of the desert. They get lost on the wrong road and wind up there.
Did you guys know Chase or anything, or no?
No.
Okay. So he wasn't like a regular down there.
Nope. I wasn't a very observant person when I was down there. Like, we'd go down to the bar, and I wasn't sitting there like eyeballing people and recognizing, like trying to observe their face or anything. So I don't think I've ever seen the dude. So.
And you guys, I heard you say you didn't know Jim Brenner.
Nope.
Okay, fair enough. And what about Don, or your dad mentioned Tom Hardy, I believe?
Nope.
Did your dad have many friends?
Not. I mean, people that he worked with. I know that, random people that he worked with, but not a lot of like friends.
He didn't have a lot of people.
He's got a bunch of family around there. You're running around with your family. You're dealing with that.
Then again, a town with only 35 people is
right,
kind of hard
and some of it's your family. What are you doing?
Yeah, exactly.
I know that Like,
well, we did ask him. I don't think you were up here, but we did ask him about Troy with the rumors about Troy and stuff. You know what I mean? Yeah, and they said, yeah, that's just exactly what they are. They're just rumors. Yeah.
Which rumors?
The one about him holding 3 women hostage and
that was Scott.
And not being in prison for it, and then having a scratch on his arm that was from somebody. Like, that's a bunch of bullshit.
No, that was Scott, though. They said it was Scott.
I know. They were confusing names and shit. They couldn't even get
somebody said Troy, truth. Somebody said Scott. Yeah, go ahead.
They can't get the truth straight if they wanted to because they don't know it.
They keep mixing up everybody's names and who had what. And
yep.
But now, and I haven't seen it myself, so I can't say for sure. But I was told that there are like court reports about Scott.
There are court reports.
Okay.
It's everyone in the family knows. It's not a secret.
That's no secret to any of us.
And he's not a pedophile.
And he went through it all. And I mean, I respect my uncle. He's a good guy. He's never done anything wrong to me. Never creeped me out. Never done anything weird.
Yep.
Okay. Well, that's good.
Like I said, nobody's family is perfect. That was a choice he made. He, you know, whatever he
did his time.
Yeah. We all know what happened. Like, I asked him myself because I didn't understand back then. And I asked him, yeah, he went some years running from it, but that's his own choice. And I don't care who was paying his bills. I've never asked who helped him, you know, pay bills or what he did when he was hiding from the cops. He got caught. He fessed up to it. He did his time. He's not a pedophile. There's a difference between a pedophile and a sex offender.
He'd be back in prison if he was. That's where most of them go because they go right back to offending again real fast.
Yeah.
I could think of someone who I think is a pedophile, but we won't go there.
Well, like I said, I've looked up my uncle's records and I asked him about it because I didn't understand the whole thing. And when he got put in jail, I asked my family like exactly what happened. There's a difference between, I don't know I guess I should Google the definition of a pedophile. Because I thought that was more like little kids.
It is. Anyone under 16, I believe.
Okay. Well, as far as what I know of the situation, the girl lied and said she was 18. I don't think they ever physically met in person. Okay. It was all through the internet of chatting.
Oh, okay. So so they're holding women hostage is all a lie.
No.
Right.
Yeah, total lie. Like, that's absolutely ridiculous.
Okay. Well, that's
and
good
the lady that they're referring to that, you know, they claim that, oh, you can just look her up. This is her name. She's on Facebook. I guarantee you she would have nothing ill to say about my uncle. I don't know if they were technically dating. They were friends. And yeah, I'm sure he took her down there when he went to visit and stuff, but she actually moved down there when my uncle went to jail because she had nowhere else to go because her family was all back east.
Wow.
My grandma took her in. She lived in my grandma's house. She met another guy out there. They got married and they eventually moved away. She moved on with her life. And I know that my uncle is still friends with her to this day.
Oh, that's wild. So she was just 16. Your uncle was older. Did he not know she was 16? See, I don't find that.
No, this is a different lady. This is a different lady I'm referring to right now. The girl, that all happened in Utah. And I believe, I don't know how old she exactly was, but I believe that she lied and said she was 18.
Yeah.
So, you know, they're having internet conversations and different things, and it got him into trouble. He learned his lesson. You know, I don't think that he would ever try and talk to any girls around that age again because it got him in trouble. And I told him, you honestly have to pretty much see their ID nowadays. You can't just take anyone's word for it.
I have 2 teenage boys. I totally agree with that.
But I think bottom line was once Jim started, if he had found any record of anybody related to Kurt, he was going to bring it up as like it's somehow being relevant. And so I don't think that it's surprising that he did that. And then, I mean, the actual story that he made up about the women tied to a stake and stuff. I mean, that story was I'm sorry, but any rational
shit.
listening
honestly,
to that,
I'm just wondering who the hell went to prison for it if it's that crazy.
It didn't make any sense. But even if you heard it, like it made zero sense. Like and then later when he got mad about Sleuth Mom releasing that call, I heard him get another thing. He's like, and those women, 2 of them have had to legally change their names since you did that, Sleuth Mom. And I'm like, you don't know. You never said you knew these women. It's been a week. They did not legally change their names.
I don't know what woman out there would accept getting kidnapped and want to put the guy in prison.
No, he's claiming that he never got charged because the women wouldn't come forward.
Right. Right.
The women don't have to come forward.
According to Jim, he had proof of this, and there's court documentation to back it up. And when I asked him for the proof, okay, can you show the proof? He never produced any.
Right.
Of course.
When he was telling the story, because he said it was like from the old man with the bed sores, and the social worker went in and he told him this. It didn't even make sense throughout the story if the person holding people hostage was the old man or Kurt or Kurt's brother. They kept changing, and sometimes the girl was a little girl and then she was like an adult daughter. Like even during the actual telling of that story, it was completely insane.
If I'm not correct, he put it against my Uncle Troy first.
Then
it moved to Scott.
Then he moved to Scott after seeing Scott's old charges from years ago, being like, okay.
And I had assumed, and I know you should never assume, but I had assumed that half of what he was saying was real. Not all of it, but at least half of it. And then I'm slowly I mean, especially because of that phone call that was released by Sleuth Mom. You know, he's telling the family this. So I'm thinking he really either A, really believes this, or B, it's true. And I'm not the only one that feels like that. Like 90% of this whole community, Dylan Round's community, believed him. Or at least half of what he was saying. And, you know, it's so hard to dispel that, because now it's like, you know, listening to you, and I feel bad that I kept like thinking Kurt had something to do with this, because in the back of my mind, I'm still hearing his voice. I'm still hearing Jim and all his lies. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I think a lot of people are like that.
Yeah. And I think that's why Queen put at the top of this, the title of this, like the damage of internet gossip, because it is, and now it's hard to put it back in Pandora's box. And it's kind of ridiculous that they have to be up here to hear it, you know?
The saddest part is, rather than dig harder, they want to just stretch it farther away from the truth.
Yeah. Yeah. Like KDT said in the chat, a woman ran to the post office, right? So this woman escaped and barefoot runs from her captor into a federal like building, like a post office, but they just never followed up on it, right? Like, but what Laura's saying, I'm trying to respect that as well. That's the problem with these people act like speculating, theorizing on YouTube is, like Doug was saying, you know, we have to make theories, but it causes a lot of problems, because now these people would have to try to explain, like, no, my uncle/cousin didn't hold.
Well, when you start bringing in personal names, then it's personal.
Yeah, so. and it's hard, because you can't erase that. Once people bought it and once people believed it for a while, it's very hard to get them to unthink it or not have that in the back of their mind.
Absolutely, and that's where I can speak for a lot of us. That's where a lot of us struggle, because we do feel like at least half of what he said had to be legit, and it's turning out nothing he said.
I'm proud of you guys, because you guys are doing a hell of a lot better of investigating than he is.
No, that's true too. But yeah, that's why I wanted to talk to you guys, because I'm like type of person, just face to face, eye to eye, like just speak to you myself instead of getting it from other people. So I'm trying to think.
All I can say, if there was women that ever ran to the post office and exposed what happened, they don't have to come forward. The freaking cops would take over and charge him with whatever, you know.
Right.
You don't have to come forward and be a witness in court. You can give a
It'd
statement.
be the state versus.
Yeah, like come on.
Was there anything that Jim said that was real?
I don't think so.
I don't think so. Not at all. That's why it made my blood boil, because everything he said was a complete mix-up, lie, and far-fetched.
Exactly. And Laura, that's what I feel like the thing that is the problem now is that people say, okay, I get that Jim is really messed up and not everything he says is true, but he got some good information, and I think he didn't. Like, that's what, like, I really want to point out that it wasn't like, oh, he's just, he could clean up his act or something. There's no basis to any of this. And it's really hard to put it all back in the box, and it damages people's real lives.
Oh, I'm pretty sure at first he was out there throwing out there, oh, it's gonna come out that it was Kurt and that he killed this boy over jealousy or some bullshit story. Then it changes to all of a sudden now it's Jim Brenner, and I don't know what the other scenarios are anymore. There's too many. I'm just like, dude, whatever. I seriously just want this boy found. I hope the FBI, has enough and they can get to the bottom of it for his family's sake as well. Like, this is just absolutely insane, and those parents need closure, and it sucks that whoever knows, won't talk. It absolutely breaks my heart. But
what does your dad say about what he thinks happened?
It changes day to day.
Fair enough.
He's just, I think his brain is so scrambled that he's just, you start thinking about new things, and he listens to too many psychics, and then he comes up with a whole new scenario, and it's like, Dad, I understand, but that's you throwing out all these scenarios is not going to find him either. Like, maybe there might be some small clue. He believed at first the one psychic lady that did a tarot reading or something that his grandparents knew something. Like, they didn't realize that they had the information and they needed to remember what was said to them. And I'm like, Dad, so he wanted to call him so bad. And I'm like, at this point, Dad, you're just doing more damage. Like, I think they have enough on their plate than hearing your outlandish scenarios. I get granted that he's, what can he do at this point? I've sat for days upon days and thought about different scenarios and, like what anyone does in their right mind, what could have possibly happened. But
are any of his wives in the Philippines psychics?
No, not that I'm aware of.
Oh, okay. That's what I was thinking. Maybe he's had so many because they're all psychics, or
no, he's listening to all the psychics on YouTube. Anyone that will put out a video about Dylan, he's listening to it. Like the psychic ones. Like, he thinks, okay, there might be some small clue in there that I can maybe piece together, or try and think of something different that maybe we can help figure this out.
Yeah.
All right.
Right. So, like any normal person, you're just like, what in the heck?
I have one more question. I'm sorry, I'm like asking so many questions in a row, but my big question is, so if we can put Pandora back in the box and start fresh, would your dad tell us where to begin? Like, what, you know what I mean? Like, if we wipe out,
my guesses would have been check that Chase Vinstra kid out.
Yeah.
And anyone close by, because there's not that many people out there.
Exactly.
Well, they said that Jim Brenner. I mean, they have him,
Right, and and him wanting to get rid of his guns on a buddy right then and there, like he knew they were coming for him. There's little things that are like, okay, that's questionable.
It's not only that, Dustin. You have to understand, he was a convicted felon. He wasn't supposed to have firearms. But
right.
Live out in that kind of area, I wouldn't want to live out there without some type of protection.
Right, that's true.
No
because
way.
You never know. Some weird people show up out of nowhere, or just it's the desert. You never know. Somebody could run out of gas, and they walk to your place to try to get gas because they seen a trailer in the middle of the damn desert.
No, I agree.
Honestly, when we go out there and we go riding, we have our guns with us. We sleep with a gun in our trailer. That's, we don't live there. We're going down when we go camping anywhere, and we have our protection with us. That's our given right. And I understand he was a convicted felon, and I've heard a little bit about his record in his past. I'm pretty sure that was like in the 80s that caused him to be a convicted felon. And I don't know anything about the guy, but I do know that he hasn't been on my dad's property for a couple years. So it's not like they just shoved him out there, right here, right before it happened.
Speaking of guns, your sister had said that she remembered hearing, or knew for a fact, actually, I think she said that Dylan's gun, his pistol, was found inside his trailer, and his key fob was found.
I heard that too, but you have a lot of small town, and a lot of people at that point were out there. A lot of people from town were out there helping search, and doing what they could. And I honestly don't know. I've watched a lot of, interviews that his mom did in the beginning and stuff. And I don't think I ever heard that the gun was found. I don't think it's out there on a recorded thing. I think it was something that just got said through people.
Some of the YouTube
No,
rumors.
I think, yeah, I don't, that's what I'm saying. Like, I think she said she heard it, that it came from Dylan's dad, that the pistol was found or whatever, a few days after the fact. And I'm sorry, but to the picture, yeah, the trailer was messy, and I get that they were in there frantically searching, but when you're, honestly, is your mind that clear that you're gonna, move certain things to look for a gun? I don't know. I don't have any idea. So
now, you keep bringing up stuff that's reminding me of questions. The guy that took the picture of the trailer that we saw, he never took pictures of the other trailer. Why would Dylan need to spend so much time at your dad's if he had 2 trailers to sleep in? Any idea?
I believe his mom said one of the trailers was just there for like storage, that he didn't actually go in it or sleep in it or anything. Because someone asked her why there was 2 trailers there, and she said the other one was there for pretty much like a storage space that was shady, pretty much out of the weather.
Hey, you guys, not to cut it short, but I'm on my phone and it's going to die here soon. So,
well, I appreciate you coming up. I mean, you guys have been up here. We've been on here an hour and a half, so that's a really good time.
All we can do is try to defend our family at this point, because it's a bunch of bull crap.
Absolutely, and I'm glad you did.
Somebody has to. I mean, nobody likes a bunch of crap that's not true being said.
Well, yeah, and it sucks that you even have to do that,
Right. I've been trying to avoid it. And like my friend said, I'm surprised you haven't got sucked in yet. I'm like, yeah, well, maybe.
And I honestly don't think that his parents are going to do like any more interviews or anything talking about that stuff, because the FBI's involved, and they're probably being told not to.
Let them do their job.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, at this point. And that's what I think. I seriously just wish all of the bullshit would stop, and all the rumors about whoever, it doesn't matter. They're not sticking to the facts that have been put out there, which, I don't know. I don't even know where I'm going with it. I'm just sick of all of it. I wish that people would just get back on track about the kid that's missing.
Right.
And not about this person that has a record, or this person that has a record, or what this person said. And
I gotta close this out, guys. I pray they find the kid. I pray they find the kid. I hope they get down to the truth of it. You guys are doing a good job, and I guess if I have to get back on here to answer some questions, I will.
But don't get sucked in.
Man. I appreciate
Trying not
it.
to. I got work and stuff I do. Come on, I am sucked into this. All right, take it easy. Thank you guys.
Yeah, thanks for coming up, man. I appreciate you.
You guys are very welcome.
Have a good night.
Have a good night.
Do you guys want me to end this? Are you feeling overwhelmed?
No, I'm good. It just hurts me. They have to understand, my uncle has kids. My Uncle Troy has kids. Like, my dad has kids. And I've never asked them personally, I know that my uncle he cares enough to, but he's just at the point where he's like, I can't even watch it. I'm getting attacked, and this is absolutely ridiculous. And, what in the hell, how did I get dragged into this when I don't even really know the kid that well? Mm-hmm. And I'm like, I get that. But I actually made a joke with him and was like, hey, I said something to him about, hey, will you go show me the girls in the shed while I'm down here? Like, this is absolutely insane. And we just kind of giggled about it.
Yeah. I mean, it's absurd. So sometimes you have to laugh, but I mean, it's embarrassing, right? And then to have to then try to feel like you have to say, no, that's not true. When someone just makes up an embarrassing rumor about you, it's even more emotional energy. But if you could tell, your your dad or whatever, even though it seems like it's like going so crazy, it's viral on the internet. The hardcore people that are fully believing this and following this and in all these chats, this is probably like a couple hundred people total, out of the whole world.
Yeah.
So hopefully this dies down for them. But yeah, unfortunately, it happens on the internet all the time. And you don't know about it unless you kind of see it, or if, God forbid, you just happen to be related to or next to the next person who's a victim of a crime or something, so.
This is the closest I've ever come to someone come up missing, that I actually personally met. Like, and it hurts me.
Yeah.
Did you know Dylan?
No, I met him. I didn't ask him personal questions, anything about his life, anything like that, but I met him. So
you don't really know his personality?
Yeah, he was around my house 4 different times.
Okay.
He was shy a little bit the first time, but once, we started talking and stuff, he would put himself in the conversation and, and like, I like to flip stuff on my dad when he's around, different things like that. And my boyfriend does the same thing, gives my dad a hard time and things like that. So Dylan would laugh, and different things. And then the 3 times he came here without my dad, we talked. We didn't sit and have like, big old long extravagant conversations, but he wasn't shy at that point.
Okay.
We'd ask him, what you got going on? Oh, just trying to get stuff done, and in the back of his truck was a mess. We were trying to help him put the apples in it, and he had all kinds of stuff in there. And my boyfriend made a joke. He's like, geez, you put all these apples in here and just weighed it down that much more. And he just kind of giggled about it. He's like, yeah, well, I got to have all this stuff in here because I need it to be right there handy. And I'm like, yeah, I get that. So
now, another thing I just thought of, are you close with your dad?
Yeah.
Okay. So he may have told you. The latest rumor is how Dylan's dad used to beat the crap out of him. And I'm just curious if you know anything about that. Not details, just if you can confirm or deny.
The latest rumor about his dad beating him?
Yeah, that Justin used to beat him, and that's why he left and went to his grandparents.
Yeah, supposedly well, of course, Tim is the one that said this, but supposedly Justin, which is Dylan's dad, was like, he is saying that Dylan's dad put his hands on him.
Okay, so if you go back and watch the one that they did when he played the phone call of the guy up in that area that called in.
Okay.
I believe it's the guy, because I listened to that. And if I'm correct, the guy actually said something about the reason why Dylan had been overstaying at his other friend JD's house or whatever for a couple years on and off was because there was some type of an argument between him and his dad.
Yeah.
And I believe it was that guy that actually said it.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So if you go back and listen to that, it would probably clarify that whole thing. So yeah, Jim's going to keep saying it because, one person says, well, I believe it was over this. And I don't remember if the guy said he choked him or, did something.
Because the reason why I'm even asking or why I think it may be relevant, I think it helps clear your dad because, your dad's an older guy and here's a younger kid. And with all the rumors that Jim has said, well, if Justin did physically hurt him, that would make sense as to why Dylan was maybe looking for, a somewhat father figure or someone because he didn't have that. So it lends credibility to your dad. So that's why I was just wondering if it was even true.
I can't say. I've never met Justin. I've never asked Dylan about his family. I didn't know anything. I guarantee you my dad had conversations because my dad was probably curious, like, where the hell's your family? Like, what do you got going on with all this stuff? Why, you're so young and you're out here trying to do this? I'm sure my dad asked him those questions, but I don't necessarily think that it was because of Dylan's life or anything like that that would actually draw him to my dad. I think it was more so just the involvement. I believe that Dylan was out there before the property was bought doing work for other people.
Okay.
And I'm sure my dad was around on and off then too. So I think they knew of each other. I don't think they had conversations then, but I think it was more so of Dylan's like, okay, I'm trying to get down here and get this going. I know that this guy can help do some of the things that I need help with. So I'm going to go, try and meet up with him, have a conversation with him, see if we can, he can try and help me do some of these things and that kind of thing. Like, it's a small area. So you get to know people that have different trades or different things that they can help with. And I'm sure they all kind of like, hey,
right, give a helping hand.
Yep, so-and-so's the one that can help with that, or so-and-so's, good at this, or so-and-so has that piece of equipment. It becomes more of a, they deal with people that the farm people and things like that they can trust, and like, hey, you're out here doing the same thing I want to do, and this is what I need done. Well, so-and-so has a backhoe, or so-and-so has this tractor. I think it just becomes almost like a neighborhood of, links of people trying to just, get the right resources they need to do what they need to do. So,
okay. Do you know the Bergs?
Nope. No. I believe years ago, I may have went into the bar when Ellen owned it. I think she had short hair. I don't really remember totally what she looks like. I don't remember her son, but like I said, I've never actually like had a conversation with her. So,
okay.
Pecan Pie had a great comment. Pecan Pie said, step 1, take everything Jim Terry has said, step through, throw it on the trash, and never talk about it again. And I think she's right. And I think the other problem is that now it comes down to people get information. Our human brains want to make connections, right? Like, oh, maybe this is why this happened, and this is why this happened. And that's just us wanting to make connections. And then the problem is that it's within a context of like a lot of stuff that was never true. So it's kind of like poison the well in a way.
I agree.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying. It's so hard to dispel everything that was said. And, it's just like piece by piece. Okay, this doesn't check. This doesn't check. This doesn't check. This doesn't check. Does anything check? Like I even said last night, I feel like we're back at square one. I feel like this is brand new, and now we're just back at square one, and we have to really start looking at square one and forget everything that he said, which isn't easy.
No, and yeah. I think that the FBI obviously did an investigation. They seem to have an idea of what happened because they've named the guy as a suspect, this Jim Brenner guy. So eventually, if he goes to trial, he gets arrested, then we'll all find out like the actual story, but like there is what happened,
There's still no body, and with $100,000 on the line, I can't believe nobody's talked yet.
Yeah.
Well, I think everybody goes into this whole thing about also these not conspiracy theories, but the idea that like somebody knows something. But sometimes people don't know something. Sometimes, there's a conflict and somebody, kills somebody else, and they're not talking because they're not going to incriminate themselves, So, well, it's just really sad. Like, I do think it seems like from what the FBI has said that this kid is probably like a victim of violent crime. And I would be really sad if there was no leads and this was all we had was all this nonsense on the internet. That would make me really sad. I'm glad that the FBI started investigating and seemed to make a lot of headway pretty quickly. Because, they're the only ones who can really do this kind of work.
Have they made headway? Because, I know that the FBI is not going to announce what they have, but
they named him as a suspect.
Yeah, they named him as a suspect because he lived on the property, but not necessarily because they have evidence.
No, they wouldn't name him as a suspect. They would not. You could be a person of interest, all this stuff, but they don't name somebody a suspect unless they suspect him of doing it. Like, it takes a long time to build criminal cases. Like and with murder charges, you cannot bring people up on charges until you have like that airtight case. It's not when people are like, well, why is there a delay? Like they must be stuck. It can literally might be 8-9 months down the road that they formally file charges against them. He's not going to.
I agree. I definitely agree with that.
They have evidence. They don't. I feel like they wouldn't. There's no way they name him as a suspect and and scoop him up on these unrelated charges.
See, and I thought that when the FBI came in, I was like, okay, cool. You know, they're going to get to the bottom of this quick. They're going to figure this out, and this is going to be over with. And, you know, maybe all this stuff will stop on the internet. But then I realized, okay, no, I guess they don't put out press releases. They don't tell people what they have and don't have. They don't have to talk. They don't have to say anything. So it's like people are sitting here getting so impatient that there's, you know, nothing coming out and nothing being said. But I do hope that they just can figure it out and get to the bottom of it. And
yeah, Pecan Pie says social media wants things to move at lightning speed, but these things can take a long time. And even if it does get, I mean, look at, I don't know if you're familiar, there's a case, the Chris Watts, he's a man who like murdered his wife and his children. That was the most open and shut case in the world. The guy got arrested, he admitted he was guilty, didn't go to trial, and was locked up for the rest of his life. And there are still people, and so it could not be any more clear, like who committed it, case closed. And there were still people on the internet for years and years and years still doing all this social media nonsense. But until he's like actually on trial, which could take a long time, we're not going to hear like how they solved the case or whatever.
But in all fairness, though, as a YouTuber, this is what we do. Like we find cases that interest us, and then we try to figure them out. And, you know, none of us ever think, oh, we're going to get reward money. None of us think like that. But this is just what YouTube true crime is about. You're either an uploader where you upload videos of past crimes, or you're a live creator talking about current cases. So that'll never die. And to be honest with you, social media like social media as a whole has brought a lot to the table in true crime, which is good. And then you have someone like Jim who destroys it. But for the most part, social media is very good in crime.
I just wish the guy would get a life and like move on. If he claims he's a PI and he has other work to do it.
Yeah,
they think they're keeping the case alive. It's not keeping the case alive, just sitting there doing hours and hours of bashing people.
Agreed.
And I mean, even last night I was very unsettled when Doug was on this panel, and he was really getting very emotional, raising his voice and saying like, I just want to find Dylan. I just want to find Dylan. And I'd be like, you can't, you know that, right? Like, I think, you know, some people, maybe they just overstep a line. They're just being very unrealistic about
I agree.
What is they're doing.
And I totally agree with that. And I've always said that, like, I'm not here to solve crimes. I'm here to figure out crimes and, you know, figure out who did what and who, what, when, where, why, or how. But I'm not here to solve a crime. I mean, it'd be nice if I could, but.
Yeah. Well, and I also heard them say like, oh, how convenient that there was family down there that weekend. People, this is something we do every year. It may not be Memorial Weekend every year, but it happens every May.
But everything has like some sort of deeper meaning, right? Yep. So
we go down there every May because both of our grandparents were born in May. And so that's when we choose to go down there. And my sister just lets us all know, like, this is what weekend works for us. You know, we all try and figure out a weekend that works. It's just planned like a month in advance. It's not just like, oh, let's just go out there Memorial Weekend, or like there's been other weekends. It wasn't Memorial Weekend that we were out there. So I'm tired of people saying like, oh, how convenient, or, you know, that panel saying how convenient that he had family there. No, it was planned a month before that. I just forgot what weekend it was and ended up making other plans. So I didn't get to go, but usually I'm down there every year in May too. And sometimes I'm back down there in September. We go down Labor Day, or is it Labor Day weekend?
Yeah.
No, we go down there. I've been down there a few years in September, and it's honestly hot.
I looked at those pictures, like with the desert. I was like, I would not want to be out there. Like I can't deal with all that open space. I'm not used to it. And it's just like, there's no shade. I'm like, oh man.
It's like a dry hot. It sucks. Yeah. When I was down there in September, I literally looked at them and I was like, I don't want to go ride. Like, why do I want to get in a machine that gets hot when it's 105 degrees outside? And I'm like, you guys have fun. Like, I'd rather sit here in the AC in the shade, you know, I'm not out there dying. I went with them once. We rode up to Patterson Pass, and my leg was burning by the time we got back because it was in the sun and I had the heat coming out from under my seat in the side by side. And I was like, I ain't doing that again. That was not worth it. And then at night, you freeze your butt off. So I slept in a tent that weekend and I froze in that tent. And as soon as the sun hit the tent, you had to be out of it. So,
has anyone else ever gone missing out there that you know of?
No, not that I'm aware of. Well, I've heard things after, after all this whole story started. But no, I've never, I don't think that town has ever had any type of publicity for anything like this. So.
Wow.
And I would think if someone else went missing from out there that, that my family knew or knew of, they would at least say something in conversation like, oh my gosh, this guy we knew come up missing out here. But that's what I'm saying. Like before this, I didn't talk to my dad every day. I'd go weeks without talking to my dad because I knew he was good. But now I'm calling him in the morning like, okay, Dad, I know you're up. What do you got going on today? Type of thing. What are you doing? I call him in the evening. What are you doing? And he's like, what am I doing? Same thing I was doing yesterday. But it gives me peace of mind to just be able to hear his voice and know that, at least he's insane, but still there sane. So his mind's going nuts.
You think he feels any guilt, like he could have done something, he could have done more, or you think...
I guarantee it.
Okay.
In my years of all my life, until this, I've only heard my dad cry once. And during this, I've heard him cry 4 times now. And I thought, oh my gosh, this is more than I've ever heard my dad get choked up or teary-eyed about anything in his entire life.
Wow.
One time before this happened, I actually heard him cry on the phone to me.
That's sad.
And I was like, okay, if my dad's going to tear up and get choked up trying to talk to me about something, I know it eats at him. And I heard him actually, I think he said to me when I was down there, like, I wish you would have just called me, but he knew I had family here and he probably didn't want to bug me. And we had a short conversation about it. If it starts raining, I need to get that grain shed or that truck down to that shop or whatever. And my dad says, well, call me. I don't know where I'll be or what I'll be doing, because when we show up, my dad just pretty much goes on the fly with whatever we decide to do.
Yeah.
He's just there. Like he gets to spend time with us, he gets to see some grandkids. And so he's just there, and it's like, okay, what do you guys want to do today? Well, we're thinking about going riding here, or, do you want to go do this? And he's like, yep, sure, let's go. He's there to do what we want to do, and we're there. So, but I almost guarantee you, if Dylan had called my dad and asked him, can you come out here? I can't get a hold of, whatever the situation was, I can't get a hold of anybody. I don't want to walk back the 5 miles. If my dad wasn't doing anything, I guarantee he would have said, yep. And he probably would have just took everybody like, hey, you want to go for side-by-side ride out here? Leave an open seat. He can hop in and we'll give him a ride. And then we can go cruise around out there. I never rode out that way. I don't think my sisters ever rode out that way.
From where, though? You just said...
Montello. Like, we didn't go that direction. I didn't even, honestly, I don't know how many times I've drove down there, and I honestly didn't even know where the loose end sign was. I knew I'd seen it, but I didn't know where it was actually located. So when I drove down there last month to go be with my dad, I actually paid attention, and I was like, oh my gosh, there's the sign. Like I've seen it, because you see the different names of ranches on the green signs, but I never actually like embedded in my head where the turnoff was for loose end. I didn't even know what it was. Never asked.
So you're assuming that Dylan was taken from the grain shed?
I don't know. That's what I'm saying. Like, but I'm just saying, like, I think my dad, in a way, I don't know if it's not guilt, but I think he just is like, wow, I could have actually, been like, yeah, call me. And I'll just tell my family, like, yeah, I got to go out and give him a ride. And we probably, if, I know my sister would have been like, sure, go do it, Dad. If you need to give someone a ride, do it. But I think it would have more so turned into like, do you guys want to go for a ride? We can all get on the motorcycle side by sides, whatever, and go out that way and, pick up Dylan, give him a ride back to his camper, and then we can go explore out there, or, whatever. But
Dylan had a car. Why would he need a ride?
From what I understand, he had to take that, they call it a seed truck. So it's a, what? I don't even know if it's a 10-wheeler. It has all the, the bucket on it to plant or put the seed in that goes into the tractor, I believe. I don't know. I'm not a huge farm person, so, but I believe, according to my dad, he was supposed to be planting his field, so the field was 5 miles away from where the shed was or whatever. So if he was planting his field, at that point, if it starts raining, you want to keep that inside somewhere so you don't get your seed wet. So it would have to be taken to that other shed to be put in where it was totally out of the weather, so it didn't get ruined.
Any reason why you think he didn't have his shoes on? Or why by the shed?
No. And I honestly never even paid attention to his shoes when I saw him. I never looked down at his feet.
Has your dad ever said anything about it?
About what he thinks why his boots were out there?
Yeah.
I've listened to a million scenarios my dad's come up with. His scenario is he can think the only reason that they would be taken off right there if Dylan took them off was to use them as defense.
That's interesting. I don't know. Sometimes I feel like that, like we're going to find out that it's completely some stranger out of left field did it or had a hand in it. I don't know why.
And that's why I'm trying to just honestly I'm trying to not feed into all the scenarios. Like, yeah, you can think about them all day long, but I don't know.
Right.
I have no idea. I've never been out in that area. I have no idea.
Yeah. And I mean, you even kind of feel like your dad so desperately feels bad about Dylan and like wants to be found that he's even kind of going into the scenarios like too much, where it's like he should really try to detach, because it can drive you crazy going down that path of speculating and things like that. And for him, it's actually personal because it's an actual person he knows in real life. You know, like you said, I've never had anybody in my life, thank God, go missing or be the victim of a crime. But I can't imagine how much you would want to. It would be so hard to like turn that off in your brain if that did happen to you.
Oh, it was horrible. Like the first couple weeks, I finally had to get told by my family, like, okay, you look at your phone more than you're paying attention to us. Right. And I'm like, okay, like I got to stop this. I can't go down this hole. Like I got to do what I need to do first off. And then if I have spare time, whatever. But
now I don't know how old, but I don't know. I also was worried about, does your dad have any grandchildren who are old enough to like that they're being exposed to all this gossip on the internet?
Yes.
That is really disturbing. I just thought about that, and that's like really disturbing to me, because think about like that's your grandfather, and like you shouldn't hear people talking about, you know, your grandfather like this when you're a kid and you Google stuff on YouTube, and that they go to school, right? I mean, luckily it's not like a huge national story, but when you start spreading rumors like this, it can be embarrassing for people that you're not even considering, like their grandkids and stuff.
Well, the thing is that my kids, nobody knows that that's their grandpa around here. You see what I'm saying? So they're a little bit, and at first one of my daughters was like wanting to watch all this stuff, and then she's like, okay, this is just total bull. Like, I don't even care anymore. Like, it doesn't matter. None of it's true. So she goes, I'm just not gonna, you know, put myself out there to listen to all this crap. She's a kid. They're teenagers. They have better things to do, honestly.
And it would be upsetting, right? Like, no, like I get my blood boils sometimes listening to the things that talk about Candace Cooley. Like, I don't know these people, but I can be like, that's not okay to like say this kind of stuff about, throw this out about people.
Oh yeah. My daughter started commenting on stuff on Facebook, and I had to tell her to stop.
Yeah.
Like, you don't need to put your name out there. Right. Just stop. You know, like, we don't need to, because at first I was like, heck no, I'm going to comment on this. This is total bull. And then it was like, wait a minute here. Do we want to be the center that's being attacked? No, I would rather be the support for my family that is being attacked. But that's why I was like, I got to think about this. Do I want to like really expose my children like that?
Right.
No.
Right.
You don't.
We'll jump right on it, you know, and it's hard. Like, how do you make these decisions? You didn't ask to have to make this decision of like, how involved should you be online? Right. Yeah. So yeah, people need to think this all the way through. It has bigger ripples, and I think some people really think that it's no big deal. Like, it's just like internet entertainment.
That, or, you know, I just keep hearing people throw out there, oh, it's about finding Dylan. And I'm like, no, it's not, you guys. You would be respectful and have some human decency to stop some of the stuff that's being said.
Yeah. I mean, I think I said it. Yeah, I think I said it last night on, I guess, Laura, you weren't on that panel now, but the one last night when it's like, if Dylan, if this kid, I don't even know him, right? But if he was here and he was watching all the things being said about him and his mom, it would be devastating. It's humiliating, and it's awful. And they don't think of people sometimes as fully human. Why are you saying, I care about so much about Dylan, I want to find Dylan, like this guy was telling me last night? And I'm like, you don't know him. First of all, you don't know him, so you shouldn't feel that strongly. And number two, if you thought of him as a real human, then you would be doing the opposite of what you're doing right now.
And I totally agree with that, Good Egg.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't even think Montello, there might have been some people there, you know, that were kind of more internet savvy and stuff, but I don't even think people, like, even knew what YouTube was or how, like, it can blow up like this or any of that stuff. I told you, it's a different time zone out there. Like, it's a total different lifestyle than it is in a city. They're stuck back about 20 years ago, I think. They're not ahead. You know, they're not in our time of what's going on and things. They live a little bit slower life. So
just a bit.
Yeah.
I think you've done a good job of dealing with it. And I'm always thinking about people like you, like, who are being quiet. Because that's what I would do if I was in a situation and just having to observe it from the outside. But I try to remember those people are there and they're really distressed by this. So I'm glad your kids haven't gotten pulled into it or anything like that, because it's just emotionally exhausting.
I will definitely tell your kids, don't put their names out there. Jim has threatened my 14-year-old son relentlessly. And it happened again today, but it was even worse than yesterday. So I would say definitely do not put your kids out there.
Yeah. Yeah, they're not even, like, I watch the YouTube shows or whatever I choose to do. They don't get involved. But I also, you know, there's a lot of things I'm way behind on because I chose to stop watching it and actually try and live my life again and not let myself be consumed by that.
Okay.
So I literally, you know, I'm AirPod in my ear and I'm listening to stuff as I'm doing my dishes and I'm like, what am I doing? Like, I need to pay attention to my kids and other things instead of listening to this. But they're teenagers, they get busy and they're doing their own thing and I'm just like, they're not interested in me right now. So but I have nieces and nephews that are adults, you know, and then we have nieces and nephews. My kids are not adults, and you know, I have nieces and nephews that are younger. I honestly haven't asked any of the adult ones what they really think about it, but I think they're honestly just, with the way it's blown up, just trying to live their life as quietly as they can and not get drug into it. So
that's good.
Yeah, because it can be addicting, and I don't even know how addicting it is when it's actually people talking about you, right? I mean, and so I think that you guys have done an excellent job, but I know it's not easy because, I mean, I've even told myself with stuff on YouTube, like, you need to, you know, detach this and disconnect from that. And it's not even my actual, it doesn't really have an impact on my real life. It's not people that I know or anything. But yeah. And I saw a clip, Laura, of the thing that happened today. And I mean, he has no boundaries when he was like, put him on. I want to talk to him on his face.
Yeah.
To his face. We're like, no, we're not going to expose children to you, you know? So it's
who has someone has a clip? Because I don't know what happened in my stream, but it like it didn't connect, then it didn't hook up, then it didn't download. I'm like, what is going on? I tried like 7 different streams, and then when I got it working, it didn't work, and I'm like, oh my god, like what is wrong? So then I guess I accidentally deleted it. I don't know, but I mean, I still have the actual clip from the other channel, but I just cannot believe he did that.
Yeah. That's what I meant, but I wish they would just take like 5 seconds to actually sit and think about like being a decent human being.
Right. I agree.
Let's get back to being decent human beings. It's not about attacking who or who said what. It just, I don't know. I didn't know this stuff existed, I guess. I guess I've been kind of sheltered with that because I don't put myself out in the public or anything like that. So I didn't know it existed, I guess, until now, and it's hurtful. And like I said, I feel bad for both of his families too. It's hurtful things that shouldn't even be said.
Queen, are you still there? Sometimes we lose her a little bit. She'll probably be back.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I had to deal with my little one. I'm sorry.
Yeah. But that's what we're talking about. We're talking about balancing real life, right? Being a mom and stuff like that with YouTube and knowing like where to put those healthy boundaries. And it seems like Laura and her family, I mean, Laura, but also Sammy and her family have done a really good job doing that.
Believe me, at first I was livid.
Yeah.
I was sitting there stewing like, what can I do to get this to stop? This is absolutely ridiculous. But then, you actually sit down as a grown adult and a decent human being and you're like, okay, is there really any point of going on there and trying to say anything? Or, is it really going to shut him up? Probably not. So
right.
At that point, it was just like, I can't keep watching this because believe me, I've screamed.
Yeah.
Okay.
The only thing that's going to shut him up is if people stop believing him. I mean, he blatantly threatened me last night and today, and someone left a comment. JT is wonderful. He didn't threaten you. Really? Like, yeah. He went around saying my son is doing drugs. I mean, crazy. And he's got his followers. He's got like this cult following that.
And that's what I'm saying.
He says.
It's infuriating, but there's to a point where you can't make it stop. Like you cannot completely control public discourse on YouTube, even really toxic public discourse. There's things you can do to protect yourself. But Queen and I, we met because of a woman. It was just a custody case, and her ex used a viral campaign to try to destroy her life, destroy her children. And the most horrible, horrific things were said about this woman for over a year. I mean, I think we're coming up on 2 years right now. 2 years. And it was a protracted legal battle and then a criminal battle when he actually took off with one of the kids. And it was going on for 2 years, like hot and heavy on the internet. And she never spoke once because she knew, obviously she knew that had nothing to do with that. She had to fight him in court. And he publicly defamed and humiliated her and cost her tens and tens of thousands of dollars in legal fees while she was the actual parent and adult and fought it and never responded, never got on YouTube shows or did anything like that. And I can't imagine that's like a living hell, and I always think when I see these things with Jim Terry and stuff, I guess I'm always thinking about the people like that mom of the world. Like they are the ones who are in the background and we're not seeing them and we're not seeing like how destructive this is to people's lives.
And let me tell you, somebody who went through a 6-year tumultuous custody fight from the depths of hell, and who also was part of a smear campaign, I can totally relate. Yep. And when I first saw the long case, I knew that she was innocent. And I even spoke about it. I said, look, I'm going to tread very, very lightly on this, but I don't believe him. And I think me, Critical K, she took it too far, but me, Critical K, and like one other person are the only ones that went public and said, we're not buying this. I just don't believe it.
Yep. And it's been very easy for the other side, the mom or mom's
That's
family.
what even brought me to YouTube. I seen that video and then I followed Kay, like I was following her or whatever, and in her group and all that. And I was a mod for her. So that's what like even got me into doing YouTube at all, was defending the mother.
And it was very easy for her or her family or friends to get pulled into this whole social media side of it. And they never did. But I mean, that's taking the high road, but you know how hard it is to have to do that. But she didn't have a choice because that was the health of her kids, yep. Her child, her little kid.
I forgot to add, he also made like $400,000, if not more, from public money.
Yep. Yeah. He raised hundreds of thousands of dollars. So that's kind of what I saw happening with Jim, and this is why this stuff is so toxic and destructive. And I just want to really highlight that what you have chosen to do and the way your brother is handling this, that is hard. It is like, you know, going against all of your human nature to, you know, speak up. And I think you guys have found a really good balance. And I hope that this dies down for your dad and your whole family really soon.
Yeah. Whole family in Montello. Yeah. I have a huge family, so I don't know. But I feel like I need to call and check on my dad. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
Thank you so much, Sammy. I mean, I think you're doing everything you can, but I want to acknowledge like that it's not, you can't just say, I ignore this. It's nothing. Like this is really affecting everybody's life, your life and your dad's life. And I think you checking in on him is good because family in real life is the antidote to all
That's right.
Time.
That's right.
And thank you for having me, Queen Bee. And
absolutely. And I wanted to tell you, I just wanted to tell you, I'm really sorry that, you know, he went on attacking your son and your ex-husband. And then today I had jumped up on Bomb's panel. And as soon as I jumped down, he decided to get up there. Jim would not come on panel with me. He will not come over here because he knows, you know, we'll call his ass out over here. We're ready. But,
yeah, I heard him say something in the nature of, oh, they won't come on this show with the real bulldogs and all this crap. It's because we don't want the disrespectful bullshit.
Right.
Like it's just, what's the point?
All you're going to hear is lies from him. I have been able to prove so many of his lies. Like every single thing he talks about is a lie. And not even just this case. I'm talking in life in general. Yeah. Everything is a lie. But the one thing that triggers him the most is that I called him gay. The one person who goes around telling everyone's gay is what triggered the fuck out of him.
Yeah, but he's okay with saying it about her dad. He's okay with saying it about Dylan. He's okay with saying it about all these other people. But as soon as he gets, you know, one thing said about him, about being gay, he just went off like through the roof.
Relentlessly threatening me.
Yeah. I'm just tired of him throwing all this crap out there, but then he never shows any proof. You know,
went after a child.
Yeah, he went after a child. He went after my.
Then he said, I caught the ass into the clip that said where he was like, well, that's fine. I'm going to file an FOIA report and I'm going to get your autopsy pictures of your husband that's passed away and I'm going to put them all on T-shirts. And I thought, you sick fuck.
Yep. He died in police custody. Good luck getting those pictures.
Like, yeah. Well, and there's tons of other things that, you know, tons of other rumors that we could sit and talk about. I've heard so much crap on there. The one thing that started this whole thing and just it got under my skin so bad was when my cousin went on there, or he played her conversation.
He played what?
He played my cousin's conversation that he recorded or whatever. I don't think it was live. It was a recorded phone call that Jim had my cousin.
Yep.
And her saying that she believes that the reason that her brother killed himself was because my dad molested him. For one, we didn't live around them for years. We weren't around that family for years. We lived far enough away that we were lucky if we got to see him once a year.
Your cousin said that? See, I never heard that. I don't watch Doug, so if that
it was a long time ago. I was actually down there with my dad when it happened.
What happened?
When it came out, he played a conversation of my cousin calling in because apparently that Dylan Berg kid had dated her and she was supposed to be like the backup person because she was with that Dylan Berg when he claims he saw my dad cross-dressing. The whole thing was obnoxious. And all she said was, well, yeah, he said something about looked like he had lipstick on or some crap. So
he did say, yeah, that's all he could say was, it looked like he had red lips or he had something about red lips, but that's all they really said. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was their proof of him cross-dressing was he had red lips. Like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me right now?
Yeah. Well, you know, the allegations about my dad ever touching that kid. Nah, my dad had 7 children. 7 children, and not a one of us would have anything bad to say about my dad in that nature. There's no way.
Why do you think your cousin said it?
I don't know. I don't know why I believe her and her mom have some theory. I don't know if they totally understand the whole truth.
What do you mean?
Of what happened with her brother back in the day. He was was put in prison for rape. And I think there was 2 charges of rape.
Who was this?
Huh?
Who was this?
My cousin.
Okay.
And his little sister got on there and wanted to talk all this stuff about my dad is the reason that her brother's dead, and that is not even true. Not even close to true.
Oh,
yeah, NorCal said that came from Dylan Berg, and he's not, she said, not trying to talk shit, but he is not credible to me.
Well, yeah, the thing about my dad having lipstick on, but my cousin called in and said that she believes that the reason that her brother's dead is because of my dad. That my dad groomed him. I think that's what the PI said. Groomed. There was a word they used, and I was like, you have got to be kidding me. Now, there's a whole bigger story to that, and I'm not comfortable putting it out there on the air. So
it's like them calling your brother who's in prison, right? Like they're trying, if they can find a black sheep of the family, or if he can take advantage of some sort of family conflict, right? Or people who want to talk bad about somebody, that's what he's going to do. And then it leaves everybody else running around trying to, well, no, let me tell you what really happened. And then that just plays into them, because they just come back with more and more.
Yeah.
Well, I had said that too. Nothing against your brother, but I had said that too when I was still talking to Jim, when he was talking about, oh, I'm going to get Aaron. So when I looked up Aaron, I was like, dude, the guy is in jail for massive amounts of meth and like 1,000 fentanyl pills. I don't think he's credible. I think he just wants to talk.
No, and then Jim turned around and tried to talk smack about that. He's like, oh yeah, well, he's going to get off anyways, because trying to say that Sammy's sister slept with the officer that took him to jail. I said, oh no, that's no.
I'm pretty sure he was arrested more than once.
That's a lie.
Look it up. Yeah. It was over a course of like 6 months that kid got arrested multiple times.
Right.
And
it's just another one of their lies.
Yeah. And I don't want to sit and talk crap about my brother. He has his own problems.
Right.
I have chose not to be a part of his life for years.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, I don't think any of my brothers and sisters have been part of his life for years. Mm-hmm. We've all just kind of backed away because of the choices that he made and the things that he was involved in, whatever. Mm-hmm. But it went to a federal level. So I don't care what anybody says. I don't think my brother's getting off.
Yeah, right. I don't either.
You have that amount of drugs over multiple different times. This is months. Mm-hmm. It started in like September and ended the next year. Like he got busted multiple times. And I think if it went to a federal level, yeah, they can say whatever they want to say.
Right. And also like it probably isn't even something that your brother is saying to Jim. Like Jim will literally say anything, right? He was also saying, well, I'm now, his lawyer has hired me to work his case and I'm going to get him off, right? He's just saying whatever. But I think that's hard too, when they exploit people in your family who, there's been estrangement in the family, or you have people in your family who might have other struggles, and a decent person isn't going to go seek them out and then try to get them to say negative things.
Yeah. Oh, my brother can talk all the negative he wants to. He just needs to remember. He needs to remember his own past. Yeah, so, that's why I'm like, why sit and bash someone else when you got your own problems going on, kid?
I agree. I think he just wanted to talk to somebody. I mean, he's in jail for God knows how long.
Right. I don't know if he thought maybe the publicity would help him get off somehow. I don't have any idea.
Oh, I'm sure Jim made sold him a damn dream. If he talked to him, I'm sure he said, oh, I can get you off. I can get you off right now. I can tell you, you know what, we'll do this. And he's such a fast talker like that he just goes off the rails. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I hear you.
Yep.
I'm going to jump down. It was a pleasure meeting you. Queen Bee, always. I got to get Ashley's number from you.
Okay. Okay.
All right. I will see you guys later. Have a wonderful night.
Bye, Laura.
Thank you for coming up.
Thank you for having me. Bye.
And I won't keep you. I know you're tired. You've been up here 2.5 hours, so I know you're exhausted, and I appreciate you coming up.
Really appreciate it.
I don't even know at this point. I'm just tired of all the crap being said, and I can't, like I keep saying, I can't imagine what Dylan's family's going through with all this crap either. I can't even imagine it, and it hurts me for them. There's enough being said about my family that can't imagine how they feel or what, anything.
Yeah, and they're going through the worst time of their life right now with their son missing, and to have that happen on top of it, it's just awful. It's awful. So I don't know. I appreciate you coming up. I'm not going to keep you very much longer. I'll go ahead and end this now. So that way it's not.
But thank you everybody for watching too.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, I was gonna say, well, yeah, because it's like I said, it's been like 2.5 hours. So I'll go ahead and end it, and then just stay on here for a minute, okay?
Okay.
All right, bye guys. Thank you guys for coming on, and thanks for coming in and listening. We'll see you guys later. Bye everybody.